This is the definitive guide to vibe coding. By the end of the session, you will understand everything that you need to know in order to build all sorts of applications effectively, whether that may be web apps, mobile apps, desktop apps, Chrome extensions, and also learn the different use cases for vibe coding and the different agentic applications that exist on the market. So what exactly is vibe coding? Well, vibe coding is simply the concept of building software with AI. But the world that we're living in now is one where software is actually eating it up. There's a phrase that goes, software is eating the world. And so software is used for building applications, of course, web applications, mobile applications, but software is also used for other means. You can use software to build a PowerPoint slide deck, for example. You can use software to build a workflow that can run and help your onboarding for your company's operations. And so vibe coding allows you to do a range of different tasks and also build all sorts of projects and applications and even companies. Where did vibe coding get started? Well, it all sort of began with Claude Sonnet 3.5. So about 2 years ago, this is summer of 2024, Anthropic launched their new model at the time, which was Sonnet 3.5. And basically what a lot of people would do is they would go onto this platform, which was just Claude, the Claude chat, similar to a ChatGPT, and they would prompt for the code to build out applications. And Sonnet 3.5 was the first model that was actually effective at creating real code that could be used to turn into an application. And so what you would do is you would copy that code from Claude and you would paste it into a development environment. At the time, I was using a development environment called Replit, which is now a full-blown AI platform. But at the time, it was just a development environment, a place where you execute your code to build applications. And so you would paste into Replit and come back, and if there was an error, you would paste the error into Claude. It would give you a solution to it, and you would modify it in Replit. And then ultimately, you were able to actually piece together a real software. So you could build all sorts of web applications at the time. This is summer 2024. And this was before the phrase vibe coding even came about, but it was what was sort of bubbling underneath the rocks. And so then you fast forward a little bit and you see platforms like Lovable, for example, come about. Lovable became one of the very popular vibe coding platforms, which proved to be able to build out prototypes. And it was originally called GPT Engineer, and they rebranded their name to Lovable. Lovable became really great at building out prototypes. I mentioned Replit. Replit was originally simply a development environment that was meant to make it a little bit easier to put software in the cloud. And they also rebranded to an AI platform, and they created something called the Replit agent. And so Lovable and Replit became two really great ways to start with the process of vibe coding, and where I still recommend super beginner to also start their journey, because you can get comfortable with the idea of prompting and immediately seeing the visual that comes from it. So if we actually dive into that right now, just for an example, I could say, help me build out a landing page for HVAC company. And you have these different options here. You can plan it before you build. You could just go ahead and put in a prompt. And typically you will actually go through a process of planning out what that initial prompt will be, and also what the different parts of building the app out will also be. In this case, we're just doing this for demonstration purposes only. I don't actually run an HVAC company, but we're going to go with HVAC Central, and I'm going to say Cleveland, Ohio, and the visual direction. So it's asking for the design system. I went with the blue, and then we can go with the first and then submit that. And so you'll see that it'll run these commands, and then after it has everything it needs, it'll go ahead and actually build out the page for you. It'll input any images or additional sort of components to make the page what one would need it to be, and you can have it be as specific or general as you choose. So you can change the demographic of the images in the page by reprompting it. You can make modifications to the page. You can add in a way to log in and log out. There are all sorts of ways that you can modify and personalize what Lovable creates. And again, typically you would also be coming with a plan from the beginning, not just going straight to prompting. But this should show you that even just with one simple sentence, you can give this agent what it needs in order to actually create for you. All right, so it said that it has been built out. If you click on preview, you can now see the preview of the page. And look at that. We have a whole landing page website. We have an image in the background, and it has built out a landing page for us right here, just in one short prompt. And so that is Lovable and how it works in a nutshell. Now, within Lovable, you also have different settings, right? So you go to settings, you can see what makes this up. So what I want to start with first is general. So this is where it kind of shows you this general information about the project. So you can remix the project, which will duplicate the app in a new project. And then you can make changes from there. You can transfer the project to a different workspace. You can transfer ownership of the project. You can auto fix security issues. So that's to keep your security intact for the platform. All right. You have Git. Git is simply version control on your computer. It's a tool that is used, and you could think of it kind of like if you're saving a document on your computer, except you're saving the code, a version of code on your computer. GitHub is the cloud version of Git. Same way Google Docs is a cloud version of documents on your computer. And so a GitHub account, by creating this, will allow you to connect your project in a central area, a central system, so that if you ever want to see the code for the project, the same way you may see your Google document on a Google Drive, you can see it there on the cloud, and you can also share it with others as well and give others share access to it. So you want to set up a GitHub account. You can attach a domain once you've completed the application. You can get a domain through Lovable. You can actually buy a domain through Lovable. You see some examples right here. And then you can also connect an existing domain as well. That's once you have published the project. And then Lovable has added several new features, right? So you now have the groups feature. The groups feature, these are for business and enterprise accounts, but the groups feature allows you to organize your users into different groups to make it easier to segment them and manage users who are using your app. You now have identity. You can manage your workspace identity to make sure that what you have built is completely secure, and the identity of what you've built and who you are and who uses your application are all unified. You have a knowledge base that you can add information to, so that the guidelines when you're prompting and for the AI to know what information it needs in order to give the right responses and have the right context. You can create skills. Skills are agentic kind of capabilities that are for repeatable processes. So skills, you have some skills that are already defaulted by Lovable, and then you also have skills that you can create. If you create a skill, which you're teaching Lovable how you work, you can now run these skills, and basically you think of skills as a file with instructions that the agent will repeat these instructions and be able to run the same function and do the same kind of action each time the skill is called upon. You have templates where you can start from a kind of project. If you think about templates on a website like WordPress or Webflow, where you have different like website templates. These are templates that you can use, whether they're sites you're building or applications, web applications you're building. You can have design systems. So you can either use Lovable to do your design system, but you can also use like a Figma, right? Or use a UX pilot or use a Claude design, which we will get into further in the session. And that is Lovable. So Lovable, I look at it as sort of the intro platform for vibe coding. If you look at your files area, is where your files will show up. So this is the preview for the landing page that we built. And if we go further, the coding files would begin to show up in this area. We have the coding files right here. This is the code. It shows all the different assets. If there's anything that specifically you need to change, you can go into the files and change them. Typically, you will not need to. You will just prompt for any changes that you want to make. You can look at analytics here, right? You can add in secrets. So you have a Lovable API key, which will connect you to everything dealing with what Lovable has native to it, so that native AI platforms that's connected to, you can do it through the Lovable API key, for example. You have AI activity where you can, again, connect to AI image platforms and text platforms and do that through Lovable. You have your logs to see how the application is running. If there are any errors come up, you can debug them through the logs. You have your usage of the power and energy the application is using. Is it using AI? How much of it is it using? What about the database, right? How much is being used as far as the storage goes, right? What is saved, any media that's saved on the platform. You can build in payments to your application. You can add security measures and do security scans. And then you also have SEO that you can incorporate. So Lovable has become pretty much an end-to-end for building out simple applications. It did not start this way, but this is where it's at now. And it gives you, for, again, a beginner sort of builder, a way of being able to get your idea out there relatively quickly, have it somewhere to host without having to think about all too much. And it is a great starting place. So one of the points that I would like to emphasize about Lovable is Lovable as a beginner platform. And the reason why I emphasize beginner platform, and you see that it has a lot of capabilities. You can build out applications end to end. You can build it to where your users are on the platform and you're managing those users on the platform. You can connect it to a database, which we'll talk about databases more as we go along. The reason why you want to think of Lovable as a beginner platform is that your control of the application is still capped at a certain point. So you'll notice that you, as I mentioned, are able to see your files. If you go to the section of the code, and you can actually see the coding files, and you can prompt and reprompt. And there are different strategies you can use in order to make your prompting more effective. But as we delve into the agentic platforms on the market, you'll see how you can take what you are able to do in a Lovable way further using the agentic platforms. And it actually makes life easier for you if you can develop the understanding of how to use the more agentic platform. So I would encourage you to use Lovable to start if you're just getting into vibe coding, and or if you have a non-technical background, to get more familiar with prompting and creating applications that way. And then you'll notice that as you get maybe 80-90% of the way there, you may start dealing with some challenges around fine-tuning and really solidifying and working through the bugs of your application to get it really finalized. And at that point, you will migrate to an agentic platform, which we will cover all of that again in this session. And so with that said, I would like to move on to Replit. So Replit is another platform on the market that I also encourage newer vibe coders and AI builders to work with. Replit is really great actually for business use cases, because not only are you able to build out these applications, but Replit has created an infrastructure that supports businesses, and they think about it from a standpoint of having a home base for your businesses. Now, some of the things I want to point out about Replit is that the cost adds up probably more than any other vibe coding platform that exists. So it can get very expensive very quickly through your prompting. You have to savor your credits, and and they really, you get bang for your buck, and you can get a lot out of the platform. It's a great platform. But as far as longevity goes, and if you are kind of committed to the space long term, again, you're ultimately going to want to sort of migrate, transfer over to an agentic platform where you have complete free reign for what you're doing. Now, to talk a little bit about Replit and what they have going on. So Replit, not only is it a vibe coding platform in the way we think about vibe coding platform, but they've also sort of created a workspace, if you will, to be creative and to really kind of take your imagination to different places. So they have kind of a canvas that they've built out to put a different spin on this approach to building. So let's say you wanted to build out a web app that tracks your medicine. I would like to build out a web app that tracks my medication and helps me to remember when I need to take the medication and kind of how much I've been taking as I've been going along from day to day. It should be chic and pleasant, and use sort of lighter colors in order to do this. So one thing to point out is that you have the voice feature for a lot of these applications now. So you can speak with your voice to do the prompting in Replit. You can do the same thing in Lovable as well. And Lovable has two modes that you want to really pay attention to. You want to pay attention to the design mode, and then you want to pay attention to their build mode. So the design mode will design the application for you, and then you can actually go ahead and turn it into something more functional. You can also do websites, as we just did a landing page with Lovable. You can do slides, animations. So Replit is definitely a lot more broader in its use cases and the kind of things that it allows you to do. And so we will go ahead and we will just start with the design mode first. All right, so we're building out the medication tracker, and you'll see that the Replit agent begins working. So Replit made its transition to AI back in the fall of 2024. They launched the Replit agent, and this agent began enabling users in order to prompt for code in the same way that people were doing with Claude at the time earlier on, the way that they started doing with Lovable when that came about. And originally it was assistant, an AI assistant, and then it became a full-blown agent that can go back and forth and really take things far for you. And Replit has come along and evolved significantly over time, and it's sort of built out a whole ecosystem for businesses to create on top of, and they continue to improve. All right, so it titled it for us MedMinder, and we can see what it did here. It looks like it built it out basically as a mobile app. Here is what I'm seeing. Give some examples of medications. You can check the boxes, check it on and off. Shows you the dates to it. Has this little logo right here, or I guess profile picture right here, and shows you what it did. So this is the design mode, and you see you have these different agent modes as well. You have light, economy, and empower, which you have to be on the higher plan to actually use. But these are just different sort of strengths of the agent itself. You can put on plan mode, similar to like how you have a plan mode in Lovable. You can select elements on the application to change specific components. You can use skills, as we mentioned with Lovable. You have skills. You can attach designs, and so it works very similarly, right, to the way that a Lovable works. And then when you're ready to actually go ahead and build it and turn it into something real, you click build this design, and then it goes ahead and actually begins making it functional. And so you have this canvas here, and in this canvas you can do editing, you can reimagine, and it adds a little bit of, I say, pizzazz to just like what that build process looks like. Now, some other things to mention is if you click on tools and files at the top, you'll see you have all these different options here, right? So obviously you can publish your app, you can add integrations, right? You have different integrations to mention in Lovable as well. You can connect to your GitHub account. Replit has an ability to do storage. It has a database. So storage is for media like images and video. Database would be for like spreadsheets or what would go in a spreadsheet. Replit authentication, that's for logging in and logging out. Replit domains, to connect the domain to the platform. You also have security center to be able to do security scans. You can do that as well. You have agent skills, as we mentioned. You can create automations within Replit. Though I have to admit that I don't love how the automations work within Replit. Just be mindful of that. They're a little bit clunky. The canvas, which is what we were looking at earlier, where you can sort of work with different ideas and different pages. And those are sort of the areas to focus on. And then of course you have your coding files as well. And so now you'll see on the left side here, it's saying it's building out a full React, that language is using app, using the mockup, this design mockup here as the reference, the design reference. And then it's launching a sub agent to build the full app using the mockup. So now just to speak on elements of agents. So Lovable is starting to become agentic. Replit has become agentic, and you have different elements of agents, right? So you have agent skills, which are these files I mentioned earlier that you can save onto your computer with instructions. And when you give these files to your agent, they can install these files, these skills, and then carry out this repeatable process each time using those instructions. Those are agent skills. You have sub agents, which are kind of the subsidiaries to your main agent. So when you're coding within a Replit or Lovable or anywhere else, they have a main agent, and then that main agent can delegate to sub different tasks. And the reason why sub agents matter is because one of the important parts about building is context windows, and context windows can get filled up. And something that sub agents are able to do is enable your context to go a lot further, because sub agents use a fresh context window. Context is just the information that you're providing the agent to use when it's building out your application or anything else. You also have slash commands, and we'll get into this further as we get into the actual agentic platforms. You have slash commands, and slash commands allow you to kind of think of them like hotkeys, but for these platforms, where you can hit slash, type in a word or type in a phrase, and it will bring up something that you saved. Maybe you saved a particular process, maybe you saved a skill, maybe you saved a plugin. And then plugins are a combination of skills and tools and commands that represent a kind of way of building. So you might have a plugin for iOS development. You might have a plugin for a hosting platform, and how an app that you want to host on a platform goes through a process to make sure that a build is successful. When you deploy the app, when you launch that application or that website, it's successful. So we see here that we have finished the application here. It's gone ahead and it built it out. It's kind of long, which I don't love, but it has built out the application. And if you open publishing, then it will go ahead and actually make it live. You can preview it here. Again, it is kind of long. It's clearly a web app. So you have different kinds of applications that you build, right? You have your traditional web app. You also have progressive web apps, which are web apps that can be put onto your phone, onto your mobile phone, but are still technically web apps, so you don't download them through an app store. And then you also have mobile apps, right? Mobile apps that you would download usually through the iOS Apple Store, right? Or the Google Store, the Google Play Store. And you have desktop apps too, right? Desktop apps, which also can go through the Mac store. You have the Mac OS store, or you can do it more indie, which is usually suitable to where you build out a landing page. You upload a file. It's called a DMG file, and we'll get into that. And you'll be able to have users download the desktop app from wherever your landing page is. So this is the Replit app, and you can go ahead and again publish it. You can hook up a domain to it, and you can continue to build upon this. You just have to be mindful of the fact that you are using up credits in this process, and the credits for Replit can get pretty expensive, can get really expensive over time. So what I recommend for those who are serious about building is that you use Lovable, you use a Replit if you're a beginner to get started to use the free version of what is available. Get your hands dirty, get your feet wet. Maybe you build out some stuff live and see how that process goes, and maybe even put it out, right? Put out your first app or your early apps, but then you're going to want to move to the agentic platforms on the market, which give you free reign and develop the skill set around those. And that's where we're going to go next. Let's contextualize it. Agentic platforms. So what exactly do I mean by an agentic platform? Well, to understand an agentic platform, you're going to want to understand what agents are. So agents as an AI agents. They started out more as a marketing term over the last several years as the space, the industry was a little bit premature and early for agentic AI. But over the last year, and especially over the last 6 to 8 months, agents have become very practical and are integrating into people's workflows, into people's applications, and are being used to actually build applications and workflows. And so agents are software that can take action on your behalf. They are software that can operate without you having to intervene as much, and in a lot of cases can actually operate autonomously. And so agentic platforms are the evolution of the IDE, the integrated development environment. So if you think of a platform like VS Code, which is the most popular IDE, I would say that until Cursor came about in 2023 and created the AI-powered IDE, we now started seeing an evolution to agentic platform. So back in 2023, Cursor launched. It was a fork, what they call a fork of VS Code, and it was basically an autocomplete. And this autocomplete will allow you to finish the code that you would manually write, kind of like an autocomplete on a Google document, whereas on a document where it would autocomplete a sentence, with Cursor, it would autocomplete the code. And then in 2024, they came out with the Cursor Composer, summer 24, which is the same summer that Claude Sonnet 3.5 launched. The Cursor Composer, which is sort of the modern day coding chat. It's what you see in Lovable. It's what you see now in these different agentic platforms in Replit and Bolt. This Composer where you type into a chat and you're able to prompt to get back code. That is what got launched summer 2024 in Cursor. And then that led to the launch of the Cursor agent, which allows you to have different models. So Cursor is a platform agnostic in the sense that you can run the OpenAI models, the Google models, the Anthropic models, the open source models. And as time went on, the way Cursor described this development environment, the language began changing to more language around supplying agents with the resources it needs to build and to code. It shifted to now terminology on how to orchestrate and how to manage different coding agents. And so Cursor has added many features to it that have now shifted it into what is becoming known as an agentic platform. But the most true agentic platform today currently is OpenAI's Codex. So Codex launched some months ago, and if you're watching this we're in June 2026 currently, so you can date it back from here. Codex launched as a supplement to ChatGPT, and Codex originally was the coding model for OpenAI, and it was kind of more ethereal in the cloud. And then ultimately OpenAI launched a desktop platform, and that desktop platform called Codex allowed you to use a chat. It added a user interface to it, open up different projects. It gave you a terminal alongside the chat and also allowed you to open up a browser within the platform as well. So you can basically manage your whole workspace and create different workspaces within this one platform. And it was the first agentic platform that I would say is truly agentic in the sense that it doesn't look like a development environment traditionally, right? There's nothing out there that looks like Codex. This is a new sort of concept, a new thing. It's the direction that Cursor is going in. But with in the case of Codex, it looks like its own sort of category. And you have plugins and you have other sorts of features that we will get further into. And then alongside that, you also have Claude Code. Now, Claude Code is one of several different platforms within the Anthropic ecosystem. So you have Claude the chat, you have Claude Cowork, and you have Claude Code. Claude Cowork came about because Anthropic noticed that many people were using Claude Code for non-traditional development related tasks and activities. And so they launched Claude Cowork as a way to give those who are non-technical a way of doing Claude Code-like tasks and activities without the technical prowess needed. Codex, that came about shortly after, the desktop app, basically combined all of the different aspects of what you see in the Anthropic ecosystem. So Codex is kind of like Claude Chat, Claude Cowork, and Claude Code all in one. And actually even begs the question, what is the need for a ChatGPT if you have a Codex? And so with that said, OpenAI will likely merge Codex with ChatGPT in order to create a super app. And we are now seeing the ascension of the super app, whether that's through Codex, whether that's through Cursor, which is now owned by SpaceX as of June 16th. And so with these platforms, we're going to go through the process of what it looks like to build out a web app fully, right, hooked up to a database and hosting, a mobile app, and even what it looks like to submit that mobile app to the App Store and some of the things to look out for. We're going to talk about workflows and how you can actually use these agentic platforms to build out workflows. Aside from software applications, workflows are vitally important because basically everything is a workflow or a system, right? A workflow being an isolated process that you would see within a system. And so if you understand the workflows and you're able to build a system, you can essentially automate any sort of task, and having the intelligence of an AI and these AI agents through your frontier coding models, that is how you can go about automating work, automating businesses, automating even the management of applications. And so we're going to touch upon workflows. We're also going to go through the process of building out a desktop app and how you can actually create a Mac OS app. A lot of people vibe code and talk about building with AI. Not that many people have built out desktop apps. The conversation is usually around web apps and mobile apps. And we'll talk about extensions as well, Chrome extensions, and what that can look like. So with all that said, let's get into OpenAI's Codex and building out a web app. So in the next part, we're going to be getting into these agentic platforms, starting with OpenAI's Codex. These are platforms that you can use for both building applications and also different forms of knowledge work. There are many ways to skin a cat, and you'll see as we go through, there are different ways and sort of permutations and even frameworks that you can use in order to accomplish your goal. You'll see the mindset and kind of the thought process that goes into the decisions that are made in order to know what tools to use, what third-party software to leverage, where to build something custom, and what's going to make the most sense for you. And so we're going to be starting with a web app. And when it comes to web apps, the platforms we're going to be touching upon in this next section are Codex, as I've mentioned, but also something called VideoDB and also InsForge. These three platforms will enable you to build out your web app from end to end. Let's get into it. All right, so we're here in OpenAI's Codex. This is the agentic platform for OpenAI. And when you come in here, you'll notice that on the left side, you have an area for all of your projects. So what is great about Codex is they do a great job of helping you divide up what you're working on. And so at any given point in time, you can work on the different applications, projects, or even areas in your business, depending on how you have it all divided. Now, on the top left, you also have a few options here, which are worth looking at. So plugins, for example, which is probably the most useful aspect of Codex. So you have hundreds and hundreds of plugins for all different aspects of your business, everything from go-to-market, operations, communications, content, data analytics. And these are all basically connectors that you can integrate with. So if you want to connect to Alpaca for market data, you can directly connect to it via Codex. If you want to connect to Asana for project management, you can directly connect to it. You can do security. There's all sorts of different actions you can take here. And with plugins, you're looking at skills, but you're also looking at different, I would say, a mixture of elements and properties that are connected to a third-party source. Fal AI for images and other generative AI purposes. So that's plugins. And then you also have skills, which are the agent skills that you can install onto the platform so that you can call them when you need this repeatable process done for you. So we're going to be working on a web app today called Agent Seer. And so this is something that I just came up with that I felt would be a great sort of use case. So this web app will be a web app that can see your screen while you're in meetings. So it'll be able to see your screen and hear what is occurring within the meeting, and then actually transcribe the meeting along with capturing what it saw visually. And then you can take that transcription and meeting and convert it to a summary, convert it to something that will be very helpful for you beyond the meeting itself. And so that's what we're going to get started with. So to begin, typically the way you'll go about this is you will create a new folder within Codex. I've already created that folder. You'll see it down here where it says add new project, start from scratch. You'll then create a new project, which will be a folder that's on your computer. You can either run it locally or run it in the cloud. So running it in the cloud will be as connected to your internet, and you could also actually make progress while you're on the road. You can continue to work on this while you're on the road. Now, the next step is you have your branches, right? So you can create a new work tree. So you can have parallel copies of what you're working on and try out sort of like different ideas in your process. And in this case, we're building a web app. You have different kinds of access you can give to your computer. So I like to go with the full access. I'm, like the agent to kind of just do its thing. And you just have to be mindful of that because, of course, there can be malicious actors out there. So maybe you want to do approve for me or the like. But I like for the agent to just be able to run as it goes. And so we're going to go ahead and we are going to now convey what we are building. And so I'm going to start by saying I'm looking to build an app called Agent Seer that can see my screen when I'm in meetings. So it can actually view the meeting screen and can also hear the communication that's happening within the meetings. And then it'll save the transcript and save what it captured visually. And then the application will have the ability to create a summary of what happened in the meeting, and it can also have different workflows that it does. But the MVP version of this is simply seeing the screen, being able to capture visually what happens in meetings, and being able to actually get a transcript of what happens in the meeting, save it, and then the actual visual interface for this platform is that you will be able to query the meeting. So I should be able to ask questions through a chat, right? And in that chat, I should be able to ask for a summary, or I should be able to ask for a specific kind of parts of what happened within the meeting. And on top of that, we should also be able to connect this to an AI tool to pull in what happened in the meeting. So if I wanted to pull in the visual or the transcript. Now, we're working on MVP, so we want it to be as simple as possible, just a few features to begin with, and then go from there. Now, there are different kinds of platforms that you can pull in when you are building out these applications. So what we're going to be using for this is something called VideoDB. So VideoDB is data infrastructure for video. So it basically gives eyes and ears to your AI agents. And we're going to be using further in this session for another application that we build, something that will allow your agent to take action on your screen. But this is going to be a platform that allows your agent to see and hear, so that it's able to capture what's in these meetings while it's streaming. And so we're going to be using VideoDB, for this. So if we go back to our project, we want to say we are going to be using the platform VideoDB in order to have this platform capture what is on the screen visually and hear what is happening in the meetings while it's streaming, so that the transcripts can be captured. And I want to, before we move forward, I want to just discuss what this can look like and sort of work through what the screens will be for the MVP, and we can then go ahead and move into the design phase of this. Okay, so we're good to go with this. We're going to go ahead and put this through. So it says, for the MVP, I'd frame agency around one core loop: capture meeting, store transcript, visual timeline, ask questions about it. That keeps the first version simple while still proving the main value. MVP product shape. The app probably needs 4 primary screens: a home meetings, a list of captured meetings. Each meeting row card shows meeting title, date, time, duration, capture status, recorded, processing, ready, failed, short generated summary once available, button to open the meeting, live capture. This is the active meeting screen. It should have a start, stop, capture, capture status, screen, mic, system, audio, simple live indicators, recording screen, listening, transcript active, optional meeting title field, maybe a small event log, transcript segment saved, visual frame index. For MVP, I would avoid complex live AI suggestions, just make capture reliable. Meeting detail. This is the main review page after a meeting. It should include voice screen playback or visual evidence timeline, transcript panel, summary panel, key moments with timestamps, search filter by transcript text or visual event. This is where VideoDB matters most. The user should be able to jump to moments based on what was said or what appeared on screen. This can either be its own screen or a right side panel inside meeting detail, meeting chat. The chat should support questions like summarize this meeting, what decisions were made, what did Sarah say about pricing, blah, blah, blah. Suggested MVP, navigation. I'd keep the first version very lean. Meetings, start capture, meeting detail, transcript, visual, timeline, chat. No dashboard, no workflow builder, no team features yet. Core MVP features. The first build should include start, stop, desktop meeting capture, capture screen, microphone system audio, save session, generate transcript, store visual time, generate basic meeting summary, query the meeting through chat, return answers with supporting timestamps, open play the relevant captured moment. At a high level, meeting, ID, title, boom, started at, ended at, duration, status, transcript, segment, visual moment, chat, message, important MVP decision. The biggest product decision is whether agency is a desktop app, web app that directly captures screen audio, or a web app that controls, receives capture through VideoDB desktop capture session tooling. Given the requirements to see the user's meeting screen and hear meeting audio, a desktop app is likely the cleanest long-term experience, but for MVP, we could potentially keep the interface web-based if VideoDB's desktop capture flow handles the local capture layer. What I would design first, I'd start with 3 concrete screens. Meetings list, empty state, meeting history, start capture, very simple recorder, status indicator, stop and save, meeting review, left, video, visual, timeline plus transcript, right, AI chat, top, summary, and metadata. That gives us enough to move into design without overbuilding the platform too early. So it says start with meeting list, empty state, meeting history, start new capture, active capture, very simple recorder, status indicators, stop and save, meeting review, visual timeline and transcript, AI chat, summary, and metadata. I like that. So the desktop app could directly capture screen audio, or a web app that controls, receives capture through VideoDB desktop capture session tooling. So it'll have to be, we would make it session based. So we'll have to see what VideoDB's desktop capture flow handles the local capture layer. All right. So what I will do is, I'm pretty sure this will work with web apps. So I'm gonna go to VideoDB. I'm gonna go to their to their documentation. So let's look that up. Go through all of the VideoDB documentation and tell me if the web app approach is feasible. I also mentioned for the chat feature post meeting, we can use OpenAI API. We can use any chat API. So you know what? We can use the Vercel AI gateway. We'll use Vercel for that AI aspect. And for the database, we're going to, I'll say for the back end, we're going to use InSforge. However, VideoDB may play a role in storing the media and sessions. Let's talk about it. It's interesting. So there are a lot of skills that I have developed here, probably from previously building. So the AI gateway skill, the InSforge skill likely comes from just previous apps that I've done. So Codex will actually go ahead and create these skills for you to make it easier when you're doing it in the future. So you see it's reading the VideoDB docs right here for the API references incident. It should be able to tell you if it's going to be feasible to build out the web app as we're imagining it. I like that it's going through each page so we can get a full understanding of everything. And then short answer, a pure web app is not enough for your capture requirement, but a web app plus VideoDB's desktop capture SDK is feasible and it's the right MVP architecture. The distinction matters. Pure browser app, probably not feasible. Web app as a product UI plus local desktop capture helper, feasible. Meeting bot recorder, feasible for Zoom Meet Teams, but it sees the meeting as a participant, not your whole screen. What VideoDB supports? VideoDB's docs describe a capture SDK that can stream screen, microphone, and system audio from a desktop currently supporting Mac OS and Windows. Your backend creates a capture session and mints a short-lived token. The desktop client uses that token to capture local media and streams to the VideoDB. The API key stays on the backend source. That means Agent can still be a web app for the main experience, but something local must run on the user's machine to do the real capture. Recommended MVP architecture. Web app, meetings list, active capture status, meeting review, transcript, visual, timeline, chat. InSforge backend, user auth, meeting records, VideoDB capture session IDs, webhook, receiver, transcript, index, metadata, chat history, permissions, and retention setting. Local capture client uses VideoDB SDK, requests mic, screen, stream selected channels, shows recording, indicator, pause, stop. Stores captured media. When stores, true creates stream per channel, transcribes audio, indexes visual, VideoDB request, indexes visual screen, Vercel AI gateway capture. User clicks stream capture in Agent InSforge backend, creates a capture session, backend requests a short-lived client token, web app passes, session token to local capture client, local client request, boom, local client starts channel, VideoDB sends transcript event, InSforge stores, meeting metadata, on stop, post meeting chat uses Vercel AI gateway with video stores things, video to capture if each channel start with store after capture can export Mux playlist, browsers, would not store large meeting files live in InSforge. I store metadata and references in InSforge and let VideoDB handle this. Post meeting chat for chat we use Vercel AI gateway, but don't dump the whole transcript down the get the meeting. VideoDB also supports recording for Zoom by having a bot join the meeting and upload directly to VideoDB source. That is usable as different product behavior. Bot recorder captures meeting as participant desktop captures what you see and hear, including shared screen, side chats. For Agent Series, data vision sounds close to desktop capture, not just meeting. Feasible only for finding like the Agent Series web app for you. Data review and chat. Agent also has a lightweight local capture client powered by video or not position only the local capture. Web app, tiny local capture companion app, script, InSforge, backend owner. Okay, so now for the local capture piece, when you say a local capture companion app script, how do we make sure that this works in line with the web app in the browser? Is that something that we have to turn on each time? Is that something that we have to leave on? Like, how would that work? All right, so it's a small local companion that runs in the background and the browser app talks to it when the capture is needed. Think of it like Zoom's desktop helper, Loom's recorder, or a menu bar app. How it works. Local companion handles things the browser cannot reliably handle. The web app handles this. So this split is browser UI talks to local companion, streams the VideoDB. Does the user turn it on every time? Ideally, no. There are three possible modes. Manual launch MPP. User opens Agent Series companion before recording. It's the easiest to build but clunkier. Option 2, background menu bar app. The companion launches at login and stays idle. User opens Agent Series web app. Web app detects companion is running. User clicks start capture. Companion wakes up and starts capture. This is the best product experience. The companion is on, but now we're going to capture. Browser prompts to open companion. If the companion is not running, the web app shows Agent Series companion is not open. Then uses a deep link. The OS opens the local app. It's probably the right MVP plus path. My browser and companion. There are a few practical options. Recommended localhost bridge. The companion runs a ton of local server. The browser app checks. If available, it can send commands. The payload would include the VideoDB capture session ID and short-lived client token from Inspire. The companion then uses VideoDB's capture SDK. Security detail: the browser should not send the API key to the companion. It should only send a short-lived. That gives us a security matches VideoDB's recommended architecture using. Number user flow: user installs companion once. Companion appears in the menu. Bar tray: user logs into agency browser. Browser says companion connected. User joins the meeting. User clicks start capture in agency. Browser asks backend to create a capture session. Browser sends social token. Companion asks for US permission. Browser shows live status: screen active, mic active, system active. User clicks stop capture. Companion stops local capture. VideoDB exports. Meeting appears in agency. What happens if a companion is not running? The web app should show any status. Companion connected, not running, needs update. If not running, open agency or companion. Download companion. Once installed, clicking open companion can trigger a custom protocol URL. Should auto start for MVP? I do this. Companion can start on login, optional. Default behavior: launch on login, enable after install. Companion is idle unless user starts capture. Always show visible recorded indicator while active. Let user quit it. That gives a good user experience without silently recording. Best MVP recommendation build. That is web app plus install local companion plus localhost bridge plus deep link fallback. Minimum version: companion must be manually opened. Web app detects it over localhost. Web app sends stop command. Companion streams to VideoDB. Companion shows recording state. Companion launches at login. Browser can open it via agency. Companion can auto update. Browser and companion uses a stronger pairing flow that keeps it feeling like a browser app while still giving it the local permission needed. This sounds great. Let's move forward with this. Aesthetically, for the web app, I want this to have the same sort of vibe as my site, pentridgemedia.com. So if you can take a look at the site and then provide me with the prompts that I can put into a design tool in order to create these screens, and then we'll go ahead and work on the PRD. All right, so basically what we're doing now is it's going to give the screens, or it's going to give the prompt in order for us to capture what we want the aesthetic of this to be. Wait, hold on. It said pinterestmedia.com. The site is pentridgemedia.com. I just want prompts for the design at this time, and then stop for further instruction. I want a prompt that I can feed to the design tool, and then stop for further instruction. So it's kind of going a little bit too far. I was saying it was going to create a concrete MVP blueprint and all this other stuff. So my workflow automation company, which is pentridgemedia.com, I tried to keep the visual of a lot of the apps I build in that kind of vein. So I'm doing that for this as well. Then it'll give me the prompt, and I can now use that prompt to put into the design, which we will be using Claude Design for. All right, so design a high fidelity web app UI, an AI meeting memory platform that captures screen, microphone, and system audio during meetings and lets users review, summarize, and chat with the meeting afterward. The visual style should match the vibe of pentridgemedia.com. All right. Design these MVP screens: active capture screen, clear recording state, large central capture status area, buttons for stop, pause, and open companion, small timeline event, feed showing transcript and visual capture events, meeting title field, make the recording state highly visible. So we have the meeting dashboard, even though I said earlier we weren't going to have the dashboard, but it's fine. Meetings dashboard, active capture screen, meeting review screen, and the companion connection state, design requirements. All right, so I'm going to take this prompt. I'm going to feed this into Claude Design and then let it do its thing here. Then we're going to add that as context. And then I'm going to say, okay, this is great. Now, can we use the PRD skill in order to build out the PRD for this application? Ask me any questions you may need answers to in order to fully create the PRD. Well, so we got the Claude Design working right here. And then we have Codex working right here. All right, so PRD questions. All right, so the primary MVP target would be small teams solo user records their meetings for personal review. What should the first capture mode be? Web app controls a local companion app using VideoDB capture SDK. What should authentication account scope include? I'll say user accounts plus private meeting library. What should post meeting chat be able to do? Summary and basic Q&A from transcript only. What should be out of scope? All of the above for now. So we can add workflow automation eventually, but the goal will be to have it so that you can connect VideoDB, that you can connect agency, with your agent, like Codex or Claude Code, and then do the workflows within the agents that you connect it to. We could also have it so that you have workflows within the application as well, but that's kind of how we're looking at it. I'll translate that into an MVP PRD focused on individual users inside small teams, private meeting libraries first, no team sharing yet. With the browser controlling a VideoDB powered local companion, then I'll save it under tasks as the PRD skill requires. I'm creating the PRD now, keeping the visual Q&A and workflow automation out of the MVP per your answers. All right, so this is what it's got for us so far. I have a very complete brief. Rather than ask, I'll build it an interactive prototype. So still building it out. Matching the Pinterest media aesthetic, updated to-dos, build agency, shell and design system, meeting dashboard plus empty state, active capture screen, meeting review, companion connection, modal banner, mobile responsive plus verified. Now building the full prototype. So it's designing that right now. So yeah, so it's still going. And then we're going to ultimately need a logo for it. Let's see what it comes up with. So still going, sauteing, as it says. All right, so we've got PRD now as well in Codex. I scoped it around individual users inside small teams, private meeting libraries, web apps, controlling a local video DB, character SDK companion, transcript only summary and Q&A for MVP, InsForge for auth backend data, Vercel AI gateway video DB for capture media transcript plumbing. I also left open questions at the bottom for platform support, companion packaging, meeting length, transcript storage strategy, default AI model, summary timing, speaker identification. Okay, so we'll click on this will take us to the PRD. Okay. Then we have the open questions down here. Which platform should the local companion support first? Okay. The local companion should support Mac OS only first. The companion should be packaged as a lightweight tray menu bar app. The maximum expected meeting length for MVP testing should be 2 hours. Let's see. Should transcript segments be stored fully in InsForge, or should InsForge should store only searchable reference back to VideoDB? Which Vercel AI gateway should be used by default for summaries and chat? We can use OpenAI API. Should summaries be generated automatically after processing or only when the user first opens a meeting? Summaries should be generated automatically. What level of speaker identification is required for MVP? All the speakers in the meeting should be identified. Okay. And then I will say, let's see what else it has here. I'm going to say answers to open questions. Let's see, does it have InsForge? All right, so then we can pull in the documentation and info from the third-party platforms we're going to use. So if I go over to InsForge. So insforge.dev is what we can use for our database. This is the agent native cloud infrastructure platform. So it can do log in and log out. It can do, it can store media, but we're not going to use this to store long videos or anything. It'll be more so images, things of that nature. It can actually even use AI. They have an AI gateway that you can pull in the AI models through. So in fact, we can actually use InsForge for the AI as I'm thinking about it now. And basically everything you need for your backend, you can pretty much do through InsForge. So we're going to create a project within InsForge called agency. And when you come into InsForge, you're going to see an ability to connect InsForge to the agent that you're using. So in our case, we're using Codex. So you can literally click on Codex install and then copy what you see within Codex to your actual Codex platform. Here is the info you need for InsForge and connecting to the back end. So you're going to just paste in that prompt. This is going to be via the CLI. The CLI is the command line interface. So it allows you to connect via your computer's terminal versus the MCP, which would be through a connector, kind of a plugin for your AI agents. So you can connect via either one, and that's what you're going to need for InsForge. And then you can also provide it with InsForge documentation and say, here are the InsForge docs. And then you can provide it with all the VideoDB info that you need. So you can create an API key, a new API key for VideoDB. Let's call that agent seer. Generate API key, paste that in along with the documentation, VideoDB info. And I'm doing this for demonstration purposes only. I'm going to switch all these API keys and everything out. You want to make sure that you are keeping these credentials very secure and sensitive. You can tell the agent to create a .env file for you to where you can paste in your API keys and credentials. Typically, you shouldn't be putting them into the chat, but I'm doing that right now just for the sake of the time. So I can paste in, VideoDB skill, which I think we already have it installed, VideoDB skill. And then I'm going to say the VideoDB documentation. And that should be everything that we need to get started. I will start without Stripe. I would say login should be via Google or regular email. What else do we need? I think we've got everything we need to get started. Let's go back to the design platform. So we see what it builds up for us here: meetings, recordings, insights, integration, settings. We could have done a better job with the icons, I would say. Start capture, interesting. Okay, you can open the companion app required. Agency or companion is required to capture your screen and meeting audio. It runs locally on your machine. Nothing streams to the cloud until you stop recording. So you download the companion app and then open it to make sure it's connected. You got dashboard, capture, review, capture. So transcript, summary, you can ask questions to it. The mobile responsive version, I suppose. The left side doesn't work. Recordings, insights, I suppose. But I like the dashboard, capture, review, view. I'm not sure how I feel about the super left side. Dashboard, capture, review. We stop. So let's go. I'm gonna paste this in, and then paste this in for the design. Then I'm not really liking the left side of the dashboard, so we'll see what it comes up with. Design images attached. Let's say again, we will need a logo, but this should be enough for us to go. Update the PRD. So we'll update the PRD and then we'll change the reasoning level to extra high, and then actually have it go and build out the application for full-time scrap transforms while keeping video says for playback, future visual search, folding answers into the actual requirements, not macOS mini bar companion, 2-hour MVP meeting limit, Google email auth, automatic summaries, and speaker identification as an MVP requirement. Let's make the meeting limit unlimited. So let's use InsForge for the AI gateway. You can use OpenAI's chat GPT. Say we can use, I don't know, Sonnet 4.6. Deployment should also be via InsForge. So if we go on to InsForge, just to show a little bit more of InsForge, you'll see here on the left side, you'll have a database, right? This is where the tables will go. You'll see you have storage. This is where media files will typically go, images, videos. You'll see the model gateway. You can actually connect all these different models, OpenAI models, Google models, audio, images, videos now as well. You can deploy your site through InsForge. You have analytics for InsForge. You can connect a platform called PostHog to see how users are interacting with the application. You can do payments now, connect Stripe through InsForge. So there's so much that you can do via InsForge. Basically, everything that you need for your back end, you can do through the platform. All right, so updated PRD to state that MVP. So let's make sure that we have the images. However, please ensure that the image samples are stored and to be referenced via development. Copy the attached mockups out of the temporary screenshot folders and update the PRD with stable paths so they can be referenced during development. The images are now stored under the repo. I'm adding a concrete reference list so future development work has stable file names instead of temporary screenshot paths. I'm verifying the files and PRD references are present so the image assets won't be lost with the temporary screenshot locations. Okay. All right. So now we have these design references here. Okay. And then we have the PRD. Cool. So now we should have everything we need to go ahead and build out the MVP. And so I'm going to change the reasoning to now extra high and be, I'm going to say goal. So we're going to set a goal to build out the MVP. So it'll go ahead and implement the PRD that we have displayed here, build out the application, connect it to the database InsForge, VideoDB, integrate VideoDB, build out the companion app that we need as well. And once you're done, let me know. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move that forward. So now Codex has this goal feature where if you type in /goal, it'll literally go ahead and actually begin going through a loop where it'll do everything that you ask it to do until it's completed it. So we're having it now actually go ahead and build out the whole application. So it's auditing the repo state, which doesn't currently exist. Then it's going to scaffold the MVP that matches the PRD, web app first, InsForge backend, data integration, VideoDB, and then the companion contract, and then it'll run available checks and leave the goal active if the full end-to-end MVP is not yet provably complete. The repo, okay, so then it should go through and build out the whole app. I can already tell that I'm probably going to need to add additional steps for the companion app. And so we'll see what that looks like for it to be the menu bar. So that may require some additional work as well. And but then once that's done, we should then have this connected platform here for the web app. So we're just gonna let this cook. It may take a little bit of time, and then we will come back and see what it has completed once done. So we have the initial MVP that's been built out now. So as you can see, what building looks like today is a matter of providing the context, providing the resources and credentials needed, and then letting the agent go crazy with it, right? So we built this out using Codex 5.5, and then from there, we were able to have the agent kind of go through these goals. Now, built out the initial MVP, but because we created this goal, right? It's now actually continuing to build this out. So you see here, it says close missing PRD requirements, verify build, update docs, and deployment needed. So now you'll see right here, it says the web app is still partially demo oriented in a few places. I'm going to normalize it around real InSforge data now. Auth won't load meetings until there is a user. Meeting rows will include speaker action items, and summary generation will be callable from the backend webhook. So now I created a follow-up migration for summary metadata. I'm also checking whether the Python VideoDB capture exposes APIs, editing front end, adding a type summary error fields. Next, I'm wiring the UI to the real auth and summary operations. Email sign up, sign out, companion guard before creating capture sessions, and then regenerate summary action. So basically what happened was it built out this initial kind of slice of the MVP, right? And then it saw that the app isn't yet complete, right? The authentication, so the ability to log in and log out, hadn't yet been implemented, and the companion app hadn't yet also been fully created. And so it decided to now take this next step to go about building out finish building out the companion app and wiring in the authentication definitively and through InSforge, and that's what it's now doing. And so it added new steps. Said, okay, audit current MVP state, reload InSforge and VideoDB guys. So now it's creating these new steps in order to further the build, close missing PRD requirements, verify the build, update docs, and deployment if needed. And so if we even go up, we'll see that we have a deployment URL. So that is what it has here as a demo review. So we click on here, you see this is what pops up, but it says unable to load agents here because it's not yet hooked up to the authentication the way it needs to be. So we come back here, it's going to continue to work. It's now adding in the summary generation, so that's going to be using InSforge through Sonnet, through OpenRouter to do Sonnet 4.6, so you can save the summaries, and it's going to continue to cook, and we'll come back once it's further along. All right, so we've got round 2 of the build completed now. You see the goal ran for 47 minutes, almost 48 minutes, and it's now determined to be complete. And it says, so the first time it worked for 21 minutes, but in total it worked for 48 minutes. It says that it deployed the MVP at the live app here, and it shows what was built. InSforge auth, React Tailwind web app, private meeting library, capture screen, review screen, transcript panel, summary panel, and transcript only meeting chat, VideoDB sessions, AI summary, Mac OS companion with a local host bridge. So basically an app that runs locally that allows for this to actually work. Stored design samples, updated PRD. All right. It did not run a real screen audio capture because that requires interactive Mac OS permissions and a live local capture source. The implementation path is ready for that manual test. So that basically means, so in other words, I need to start a meeting, like a Zoom call, and then and just test the app. This isn't, let's see what it says. Yes, for an actual end-to-end test, you'll want to start an actual meeting environment, then run the agent against it, open the deployed app, sign in, start the companion app locally, start or join a Zoom meetings call. Agency here, click start capture, grant Mac OS screen recording and microphone permissions. If prompted, let it record for a few minutes. Click and summarize, confirm the meeting in pairs. A Zoom call is be also tested with these other ways. The keys that the companion needs something visible on screen, audible. Do I have to start the companion app locally every time? For the MVP, yes, the companion needs to be running locally whenever you want to capture. You do not need to restart it for every meeting if it stays open. Think of it like a menu bar helper. Start companion once, leave it running. Open agency here. Later, we can make this smoother with launch on login, auto update packaging, a download open companion flow from the web app. Deeper URL scheme handoff, background checks. For now, if the web app says companion connected, you're good. All right, so this is cool for now. So we will open the deployed app. So we see the deployed app is no longer giving us that error that it was before. And let's sign up with an email. So I'll sign up with Google. You see it's connected to InsForge. And you'll also notice that if you go to the InsForge application, that we should have I was expecting to see a database. I see tables here. I'm not seeing any tables here, any storage here. But we are connected. We're logged in here, but then I'm actually surprised I didn't see any user get added into here. Yep, it didn't add any user into here, which is interesting. Let's see the sites, no deployment log. This is all very interesting. Also, I see it created a preview of it, which is good. So a preview is basically not yet live in production. You're not ready to actually launch it. It's basically a way of being able to test what you have first. And so that's where it created the database, which is great. And you have the authentication here as well. And where it also deployed the site, and it added the model gateway. Sonnet 4.6. All right, so we have this open here. It says the companion is not yet currently running, and so you're supposed to click start capture or new capture. You have the review, capture, dashboard. All right, so now we can go and start the local companion app right here. Within Codex, there's an area to actually open up a terminal. So we can click this plus sign, click terminal, and then just paste in this command here. So this is something that in the full version you would just download and have more easily able to run. And so now, okay, the companion app is now running locally. So if we go back to the seer, we should see that it is running. All right, so you see companion connected right there, connected. All right, so now if we go back to the Mac, it says down over here to begin a Zoom call to start or join a Zoom meet call. Start an agency start capture, grant the screen recording and microphone permissions. If prompted, let it record for a few minutes. All right, so let's start a Zoom call. I'll just go into a personal Zoom meeting room. All right, we're in a personal Zoom meeting room. I can turn on my video. All right, okay. So now start capture, and then see if any prompts come up and let it record, and then click stop and summarize. Okay, so I'm gonna click start capture. All right, so that errored out. So if we go to more tools, web developer tools, console, so you can see the issue seems to be a CORS issue, which basically means that we have to change the policies of what one can do within the browser. So I'm going to paste that error into Codex, say this error came up, and I'm going to say, I've attached the image of the failed request. I've attached the image of the failed request. And let's just see what it does. So we're going to stop the Zoom call for now. Then we'll have to retry this again. Let's go back. Failures. Web app is calling an InsForge function that returns 404. So it's checking the function invocation path and will route function calls through the deploy backend URL. So this function invokes targeting the older host while this project's deploy functions are active. So one thing you're able to do is you can have the app test for you. There's certain tests that you will have to do manually. And this is part of the process, right? Copying and pasting in errors that may come up. And you can create loops that make it easier to work through these issues. But at times you will have to, at this current stage, still kind of go through this process. And this is just part of vibe coding, working through the bugs, the errors, and the hiccups that come up. The blocking bug is a capture session function request. All right. So we're ready to try again. Hard refresh the app, try start capture again. Okay, let's restart the Zoom meeting. Hard refresh on the app. Companion start capture. Perfect. It's recording. It says it's recording. All right. And we have the companion app going. Companion app is not currently connected, it says. Let's paste that in, the companion app. So we can exit this terminal. All right. So there's no live feed showing. All right. It's just going. It's Q3 planning sync. That's not what this is, but it's okay. This must be like some sort of sample. All right. Well, let's stop this and summarize. I'm not seeing anything on a live feed. Okay, so there are still some issues here. Okay, so the issues were I did not see anything on the live feed. It says video DB capture failed. Video DB capture failed. Entitled summary Q3 planning sync, which was random / arbitrary. Overall, it seems to be a bunch of issues. Now let's see what it does next. All right, so let's see what it comes back with next. All right, so we got the next iteration back. It says for this next test, hard refresh the web app, start a capture, let it run for 30-60 seconds, and stop it from agents here. If it fails again, the meeting should not show more useful details. All right, so we still got the local companion app running. We can refresh the app, companions connected, and we can go to capture and then start capture. Then we can go to, I just realized, okay, so we're still on Zoom. Perfect. Now it's showing video DB, but it's saying the companion is not connected. So let me restart the companion app. Let's even just start this over again. Restart, go to capture, connect the companion app. Oops. All right, so now it should show that it is connected. It's connected. Start capture. It says companion is not connected. All right, so it's showing better logs now. Let's just stop it and see what happens. So we're seeing these errors come. Object has no attribute event. We'll say this is what I got. This is what came up this time. And so then as a result, the summary also failed. So the live feed is doing its job now. Caught the companion side exception to failures in our companion event handling. The SDK is yielding this dict event and the companion code expected an object with .event. I'm patching that to capture the loop does not crash right after. All right, let's try this again. All right, we should have the Zoom also playing. Okay, let's see what happens. So it looks like the recording is working now. Live feed is showing basically a log of what's working and not working. Let's just stop now. All right, so we stopped it. If we go to review, transcript moments will appear after processing. So we don't see any failure yet, which is good. Just capturing. That's the latest one. Let me turn off the Zoom as well. All right, so seems to be capturing, but for processing, I'm not seeing it stored here. So now if we go to video DB, we may be able to get some information from here. So currently no files found in here. Okay, wait, hold up. Yeah, and if we go to InsForge, we're seeing the capture events, meetings that are listed here. This is the last one that we did that didn't fail. The summary is pending. We have it connected to the video asset here. I say the capture is stuck on processing. I doubt it put it into Sir Akabi's collection, unless it did. Oh, you know what? Looks like it did actually. All right, we should have the Zoom. Yep, put it into a different collection. Summarized. All right, we go to review. So it's not showing here on the review. It's saying transcript moments will appear after processing, but it says summarized. All right, so it's saying that the video is summarized. However, I don't see the transcript showing up. It still says processing. I see the video within video DB, even though it's in the wrong folder. It should be in the here folder. So these are kind of like little things here and there that you have to sort of school the AI on. Eventually, it'll likely be unnecessary to do these things, and you can kind of see how you can continue to improve more and more on the apps that you build, the software that you build, because there are always ways to just make it better and to improve on it. However, of course, I got to get it to a satisfactory state. All right, ready for the next iteration. So I'm gonna close out the companion app, hard refresh. All right. And then paste in the companion command, go to capture, start capture, and let this begin. We can sign on to Zoom and see what we gather, and we can let it run for 60 seconds before ending it. So the changes that the agent made included the ability to generate the transcript while the recording is happening. It tried to retrieve the previous transcript, but wasn't able to. And so that made it take a little bit longer in finishing this iteration. So we're going to let it run for a little over 60 seconds and then see what happens from there. So we're 50 seconds in. We see that the live feed basically shows the permissions that happen. And again, you can iterate on pretty much anything. And then from there, we're going to move to the next step. All right, so we've been on for 60 seconds. We can now stop and summarize. So we're stopping it. And then if we go to review, you can see the capture processing. If you go back to the dashboard, you'll see, okay, capturing, which denotes that it is processing. And then if we go into video DB, you can see within the collection. So it's currently loading the collections. So we'll come back to that. So, okay, it has summarized. So it's pretty much ineligible because I guess we didn't say much throughout the time, right? The meeting transcript is largely inaudible or incomplete, containing only brief fragmented phrases that do not provide enough context to determine the meeting's purpose or outcome. All right, well, let's try this one more time, and also mention that we didn't get back the actual video either, because the video should have been listed. So if you look in now, it's in the right folder, the video isn't there. So let's say the transcript seems to be showing now. However, we didn't get back the video, though it is presenting in the video DB data memory base, I'll say. And just out of curiosity to see if the AI is working, let's just put something random through. The transcript excerpts provided are too brief and incomplete. The available content only mentions gathering something, letting it reference. Great. So that means AI is working. So that's the last piece for the sort of base level of this platform. All right. And then once we have that, it basically gives us everything we need for the web app, and you'll then be able to visualize your meetings, have the meetings recorded, the video of the meeting recorded, along with the transcript stored, and then you can that transcript the meeting and have it do what you need it to do. All right, so click out of here for now. Let it cook. All right, ready for the next iteration. So the idea is for the meeting to now render, the actual video of the meeting to now render. So let's go ahead and restart the companion. Then we can go in and start capture. Let's make sure our zoom is on, still on zoom. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right, so we're still on Zoom, and let's just make sure we talk throughout this process, because it said that we weren't, there wasn't enough to capture previously. So we'll have this conversation for 65, 70 seconds and just let it process through. So even just to talk through this web app. So this is the process of vibe coding, right? It's you're prompting the AI to build, you're creating these loops for it to do a lot of the work on its own. As the models continue to improve, then there are fewer errors and fewer bugs. You can specify and define what you like, and then you kind of iterate on what is produced until you're happy with the final product, and then you go from there. So, all right, stop and summarize. And then if we go to review, it's not processing. And then let's see what shows up currently on VideoDB. So it should say summarized once done. All right, so we have this here, which is what we just produced, summarized. All right, so now if we go to review, there we go. So now it's showing up here. Talk throughout this process because it said that we weren't, there wasn't enough to capture previously. And then you can see what was said with the microphone, the meeting, and then it gives you a summary. The meeting was a brief session held to test audio capture, decisions, vibe coding approach, action items, and then I don't know, what did you think of this meeting? Based on the transcript, I can only tell you that what was discussed, not offer an opinion. The conversation covered vibe coding and so on and so forth. Cool. So we're finally able to actually complete this. Looks like they embedded a video DB into the application, which is not necessarily what we want. We just want the video to show up here, right? But this is how you go about it. This is, you know, the web app that we just vibe coded, so you can log out, log in, right? If we log back in with the address we had, all of the data will show up within InsForge, and that's the process. And then you could continue to work on the design, make it to the kind of specification that you like, and then go from there. And we're hooked up to VideoDB, the video platform. And so now you're able to record meetings and not even necessarily have the any bot or anything of that sort in the meeting itself. You're able to kind of just have the screen recorded and just have this running as the screen is recorded. So we're gonna stop there for Codex and the web app. A more even completed version of this would turn the companion, this sort of command that we have here, into the menu bar option, where it will be an app that you would have to download it, install it, and then click it on this menu bar in order to have it on, rather than running it this way through a command. And then you would continue to refine the platform, the web app that we have here, improve on the design. And if you wanted to monetize it, you could integrate Stripe. And again, using InsForge, it's a lot easier now to add in payments. You connect your Stripe account into InsForge, and then you can begin also having payments connected as well. So that is it for Codex and web apps. In the next step, we are now going to build a desktop app using Claude Code and Cursor. Let's do it. So I hope you enjoyed that part, building web app using OpenAI's Codex and that introduction to the agentic platforms. In this next section, we're going to be getting into desktop apps and speaking through Claude Code. Now, Claude Code I like to use within the platform Cursor, and you'll see how you can actually leverage Cursor to build in a agnostic kind of way. Now, we're going to be dealing with a desktop app in this next part, and desktop apps are less intricate than you might ordinarily think. There are more parts involved than with the web app. So in this case, we're going to be building out a Mac OS desktop app. So you're going to be dealing with platforms like Xcode, which is a development environment for Apple products. We're going to be using Claude Code within Cursor, as I mentioned. We're going to be setting up the payments in this scenario so you can see what it takes in order to integrate payments to your products. We're going to be dealing with InsForge again, and InsForge, as you saw in the last section, is a back-end platform that can actually do several different things. You're going to be dealing with Cloudflare. Cloudflare is what is used in order to host the file for the desktop app. So you'll be able to download what is called a DMG file. This file is what you see when you click on the download button or download to Mac OS button on these sites where you can use a desktop app. We're going to be talking about how this is something that's being done indie. When it comes to desktop apps, specifically with Mac, you can launch them on the App Store the way you would a mobile app, for example. But with desktop apps, you can also release them indie, which is you build out your landing page or your website, and then rather than listing them on the App Store, you can have people download them directly through you and then charge them through Stripe versus through Apple. And we're going to be talking about that. And with the indie method, you don't deal with as many red flags or tape in order to get your product out there. We're going to be introducing Mobbin. In the last section, we talked about Claude Design and how you can use Claude Design in order to do the design for your product. Mobbin is a platform where you can actually source different kinds of designs and honestly make what you build look significantly better than anything that you would do with just a design tool alone, because you can take references and you can also take inspiration from what else may be out there. And then we're going to be talking about the OpenAI Real-Time 2.0, which gives people, builders, all of us, the capabilities to now actually build Jarvis-like features into our products or build a product that is something you can communicate with by voice, and starts to shift the relationship between a person and the device. And so, as I mentioned earlier, there are multiple ways to skin a cat. This isn't the only way you can go about building a desktop app, but the objective in this next session is you can now see what it takes to build a desktop app versus a web app and some of the additional aspects and parts involved. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so we have Xcode right here opened up, and to provide some context on this, so when you're building a desktop app, there are several different ways you can go about it, right? Are you building a desktop app for Windows? Are you building it for Mac? What operating system are you using? In our case, we're going to be building a Mac app, so it's going to be for Mac OS. And as a result, because we're doing it natively, we're going to be building it with Xcode. And so what we'll do is we're going to connect Xcode, which is a development environment for Apple products. We're going to connect Xcode to Cursor, which is going to be where we actually prompt through. And then we're also going to connect Claude Code into Cursor as well. So we're able to use Cursor or Claude Code to build out the application. So this is going to be a desktop app, and the app that we're going to build is Jarvis-like. So the goal is to kind of build an application that allows you to command your computer with your voice. I've built out voice agents in the past, voice apps. I actually have one called Voice, where it's a transcription tool and you can speak with the computer. However, this application what we want to make it is such that the agent is able to take action on your computer. So you'll be able to have it open up different browser tabs and open up applications on your computer, make changes to applications. That's the whole objective of this. And we'll get further into that. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new project, and we're going to be building a Mac OS app, as we said, and then we're going to title this Kofi. So I went on Anthropic, Claude, and I asked Claude, if Jarvis had a brother, what would his name be? And if Jarvis had an African brother, what would his name be? And Claude said Kofi. So we're going to go with Kofi. We're going to be building this with Swift UI, which is the native Apple language. We're going to click on next, and then we're going to save that folder. We can save that folder on we can save it to my home folder, so I can be okay. So now we have the Xcode project open up here, and so once we have that here, now we can go to Cursor, and then in Cursor you can open up that same project. So you can open up the Kofi project, and this will now link your Cursor with your Xcode. So just to speak on Cursor a little bit, so the experience is relatively similar to the experience with Codex, right? Cursor has sort of two views. So it has its traditional view right here, which is more closer to a traditional development environment that has this composer where you can speak and prompt to get results. And then they have also an agent window. This agent window is kind of like, I guess, what I would say is their codex. So the agent window on the left side here, you'll see that you can pull up different workspaces and projects, similar to, again, how you see in Codex. And then you can speak into the chat in the middle right here. And then if you pull out the panel at the end, you'll see that you can also open up different views. So you can view your files, right? You can view a browser changes that you've made, and then what's also cool about Cursor is that they now have automations. So in the automations tab right here, you can actually build out different automations, and then similar again to Codex, you have your plugins and your skills. So these agent platforms are all kind of mirroring each other, and you can find similar ways to work with these different platforms. Now, personally, I like using the traditional view for Cursor. I feel like it's easier to sort of structure what you're working on. I feel like Codex, again, from a user experience standpoint, has done extremely well with just making it seamless for people who are working within it. In Cursor, the agent windows can be a little bit confusing, and so we have this project opened up here tied to Xcode, and we have the Cursor composer on the top left. And what gives Cursor, I say, a leg up over all the other platforms in this specific way, and it's not the best platform, I'm going to say. I say it's not a better platform than Codex or Claude Code necessarily. It's not better or worse, I would say, but something that does differentiate it is the fact that you have the composer that allows you to use models from all different makes. So they're not limited to OpenAI or models, or they're not limited to Anthropic models or Google models, right? Or any of the Chinese models. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go and actually copy a particular command. So we're going to copy the Claude Code command at the bottom left of Cursor, where it says no problems right here. You're just going to click on that. That'll actually allow you to open up in additional views, open up the terminal, and then you're going to just paste in that command. So this command, dangerously skip permissions, basically is in a way of being able to code with Claude Code to where it doesn't continually, constantly ask you for approval to take an action or to build your product. And you want to be mindful of that, right? There are risks to it in the case of, let's say, it does something that you didn't ask it to do or that you didn't want it to do, but you just have to provide very clear guidelines. And I'm not telling you to do this, but this makes it way easier to build out your application. Claude Code also does have an auto mode, which is kind of operates similarly, but I still use this the skip mode. So now we have Claude Code pulled up here, right? And it's connected to Opus 4.8. And then we also have Cursor pulled up here. So now we can use either one when we are building. And then just as a FYI, you could even pull out if you go to Cursor extensions, you could even pull out Codex, right? Like if you wanted to build with Codex, you could have Codex pulled up on the tab as well. But we're not going to be using Codex, so we can just go ahead and continue. All right, so in order to build this application, we're going to be using OpenAI's new real-time 2.0. It allows you to communicate with your voice to take different actions. So they have 3 ways that you can use this real time too. You have voice to action, systems to voice, and voice to voice. So one where it's having you actually do things, schedule, make a purchase. Systems to voice where it's allows you to communicate with applications, your CRM, your dashboards, and then voice to voice where you speak and then it responds back to you. And so the way you kind of approach it is you'll go and look at the documentation. So here is the real-time model documentation here, and we can feed that to the agent in order to take action for us. And so in this scenario, so previously I had the first app that we did, the web app, follow a design that was similar to my website. In this app, I want to show you how you can leverage a design tool for inspiration outside of actually the design itself. So we've used Claude Design now, but there's actually a site called Mobbin, and Mobbin allows you to pull in different designs from all kinds of applications, from sites and apps. And Mobbin has actually an MCP server. And so you can use its MCP, Model Context Protocol. So a way of being basically plugins for your AI agents. You can look at it as. So you can use what is in Mobbin through the agent. The agent can access Mobbin without you necessarily needing to manually go in and access Mobbin. So Mobbin is a design tool, and you can look at all these different designs. And so with the MCP, you can connect this to your instance, whether it's Claude Code, Cursor, Codex. In our case, we're using Claude Code and Cursor. I'm going to primarily use Claude Code here. And so you can now just copy the server registration command and paste it into Claude Code. So I'm going to log in here. You do need a pro account in order to actually use this, FYI. But it's definitely worth it in terms of like what it's able to do. And I will show you how this will go. So I'm going to copy the command. If I go into Cursor and type in /MCP, you can see what servers we have access to. Oh, well, you see we already have Mobbin connected. And so in order to connect it, all you do is you copy this registration command, you paste that into Claude to install it for you, and then you'll restart the instance, which is just /exit, and then put the command for Claude back in that we used originally right here. And then when you hit /MCP, and it should come up. So I'm going to communicate now to Claude what we're working on here, and then we can get into this. Remember, this is connected to Xcode. So as we build this out, we already know that this is a Mac app. We've already set it up such that it's a Mac app, and the prompts that we put through and the responses to those prompts that come in here will also go onto Xcode. Like, it's the same project now. And so I'm going to communicate to Claude, and then we're going to talk through building out this application. And there are going to be parts, majority of it will mirror what we just did with the web app, except there will be a couple of other parts and aspects to it. In this build out, we will also cover payments and uploading Mac apps to be able to download if you want to share this out and have someone download your application. All right, so we're building a Mac app. It's called Kofi, and this app is meant to be like a Jarvis. So Kofi is Jarvis's brother, African brother, and we want to use the OpenAI real-time 2 in order to build this out. So it should be able to do voice to action, voice to system, and voice to voice. We want it to be low latency so that it responds quickly, and we want it to, in general, just be able to do things on our computer, whether it's on the browser, whether it's applications, and it should feel very ethereal. So we don't necessarily need or want a big dedicated dashboard. We want it to feel like it's kind of like everywhere, if you will. So there can be a menu bar. There can be hotkeys that we press and then something just pops up onto the computer. But any that is there that is dedicated or dashboard or anything, it should be very sexy and it should feel very modern. But that's kind of how we want to approach this. We're going to use InsForge for the database, Stripe for payments, Cloudflare R2 to store and host the file, the Mac app file, and we're going to release it in D. Let's kind of talk through what this looks like. I also want to use the Mobbin MCP in order to source different design ideas for how to go about this. All right, so it's transcribing. All right, so let's paste the text right here. And then, I'm not sure if I spelled everything right though. That's okay. So then let's put that through and see what it comes back with. All right, so it's pulling some design references from Mobbin while it thinks through the architecture and saves the project context. I'll search Mobbin for a few relevant patterns, parallel voice AI interfaces. So what's cool is that, so just to touch upon Mobbin again, so it's on, so now the agent has access to the site. Claude Code has access to the site. It can look at different design references, different screens, and draw inspiration, whether it's mobile apps or web websites, and it can now source them, and then we can decide what we like and the elements that we want to draw from. So this is something that can be very helpful from a design standpoint when it comes to, you know, designing out your application. So you can use a Claude Design. So you could take this and then put it into Claude Design if that's how you want to go about it, to where Claude Design now creates the specific image for you, or you could put it through a Mobbin and then have it use its intelligence to build out what you choose. All right, so it says save the project context. Here's how I'd frame Kofi with the Mobbin references pulled in. The design direction. The ethereal everywhere field splits into two services. Mobbin gives strong precedent for both. The summon overlay, hotkey floating panel. The closest match to what you're describing is Microsoft Copilot's minimal I'm listening floating pill over a blurred backdrop. No Chrome, just a control cluster that appears and dissolves. Pair that with a living orb as the presence of Kofi. 11 readers, metallic orb, Meta AI's glowing gradient ring, or ChatGPT voices soft blob. The orb reacting to audio amplitude is a single highest leverage, a live detail. You also got the command palette. For the moments you want text, precision, the notion, and slight ask anything to your AI assistant overlays are the raycast spotlight pattern, centered, floating card, blurred background, instant. This is your fallback when voice isn't appropriate, a quiet room, a precise file path. So you have the menu bar icon, status and settings, a global hotkey, orb overlay for voice, plus spotlight style palette for text. No dashboard, settings, billings, live in a small modern window. You rarely opened architecture. SwiftUI, all right? Voice OpenAI real time, computer controlled, genuinely hard part. Voice to system means real time model emits a function call. Your app executes it. Backend, InsForge, distribution via Sparkle with the DMG and Appcast hosted on R2. The main trade-off to decide first. The biggest fork is how much control the computer you attempt. In V1, full accessibility driven control of arbitrary apps is powerful but brittle and permission heavy. A curated set of high value skills. Browser, calendar, messages, system toggles, app launching ships faster and feels more reliable. I'd link curated first. Then they have some questions for me. Before I sketch a concrete plan, if your decision shape everything. How should Kofi be summoned? How does it listen? Push to talk hotkey. Wake word, always listening on device. Wake word detection that opens the real-time session. More Jarvis, but needs a wake work engine, more battery, and privacy messaging. Both hotkey as the reliable primary, wake word added as an optional toggle. More to build. Flexible, yeah, but I think we can go with both. How ambitious should V1's computer control be? Ship a relatable set, browser actions, app launching, calendar messages, system toggles, clipboard, web search, fast and dependable, full accessibility control, generic AXUIE element driven control of any apps voice. Most powerful but brittle, slow to harden, permission heavy. Browser only to start, narrowest V1. Nail voice driven browser control end to end, expand to system later. I'll say curated skills first, that makes sense. What's the right first thing for me to actually build? Native shell prototype, voice loop spike. All right, so I think first we should add in the documentation. So I mentioned, we have the real-time 2-point real-time model documentation. I'll say here's the real-time documentation. Make sure to use real-time 2, and then I'm going to say Hold on. Let's just chat about this. Here's the real-time to documentation. Here's the real-time documentation. Make sure to use real-time to. And give me the I'm going to say we can create the InsForge project, call it Kofi. So now previously we used Codex. This one we're going to use Claude Code. Here's the InsForge CLI connection info plus InsForge docs. All right. And then we're going to be using R2 I mentioned. So R2 is Cloudflare. So you can actually host the file. It's called a DMG file, which it's a Mac file for when you download a desktop app. So we're going to be using Cloudflare for that. I'm going to say, so I'm going to have to put in credentials for that ultimately, but I'm going to say we want to use the Cloudflare R2 and connect via Wrangler. Wrangler is what will allow the agent to actually take the steps for you on your behalf. All right. So now our next step is once you've comprehended everything, let's use the PRD skill to create a PRD for this. So rather than just going straight to building, it'll create a product requirements document. And in this case, because we're not doing the traditional design, we'll let it do what it does with mobbing and see what we like from it. And it may even come out better than the previous one, given that we have the design references through mobbing. All right, so it's got some more questions for me. Looks like loaded PRD skill. Before I write the PRD, a few critical questions to scope it. All right, so let's answer these. What's the V1 release scope? A, MVP voice loop or overlay to the 3 core skill. No payments yet. B, MVP auth and licensing, but a tight skill set, full vision, all curated skills, payment, auto update from day one. So V1 should be full vision minus auto update from day one. Monetization model, we can do a one-time purchase, lifetime purchase. Who pays for the OpenAI real-time usage? I bundle it. Usage will run through InsForge backend key connected to my OpenAI API. Curated skills, which I must have for V1 versus later. Browser control, app launching, calendar, messages, system toggles, clipboard and dictation, web search, answer questions. And I wanted to be able to make changes in my CRM, project management tool, and AI coding platforms. I want to be able to control it with my voice. Looks like I missed a couple of things here. The wake word approach. For the wake word, let's go with hotkey only first. So I'm not familiar with this on device. Pico voice or porcupine. It looks like Pico voice. Yeah, SDK for voice language. Interesting. What was the other one? Pico voice. Interesting. So it's a wake word. Porcupine wake word. Fast, accurate, and lightweight custom wake word detection. Interesting. Okay. Well, so but what's the licensing cost for the wake word? I'm curious with Pico voice porcupine. Pico voice's exact numbers aren't fully public and changed, so verifying the pricing page. Free tier, you can train a custom Kofi wake word on Pico voice console and use it for evaluation personal use. Historically capped at 3 monthly active users, not licensed for commercial distribution. Commercial requires a paid plan. They route serious volume through contact sales and public self-serve. Tiers have run in hundreds to low thousands, depending on users. Since Kofi is one-time recurring per usage wake word is awkward, you pay yearly, they pay once. 2 ways to dodge open wake word. Runs one flat lifetime purchase with abundant and unbounded recurring costs. PRD will treat per user usage metering and cap as a high requirement and nice to have right in PRD now. All right. So now while this is running, the next step is going to be to start preparing the credentials. So gather OpenAI API key. We've already provided with gather the Stripe credentials, and also gonna have to sign into Cloudflare to use this Wrangler connection. So I'm gonna get the credentials ready. All right, so let's see where it's at. Quick answer, right in PRD saved. So we now have the PRD saved in the tasks. PRD Kofi, native Mac OS voice assist. Okay, what it locks in for V1 native Swift UI menu, hotkey summon orb overlay, spotlight style type palette, voice via GPT real-time 2, all curated skill plus third-party SaaS control, InsForge, one-time Stripe payment, sign notarized on Cloud V2, deferred Sparkle, 2 things I flagged in the PRD that you want to answer, the runaway cost risk, lifetime price, I made metering caps a hard requirement, but the actual cap number, what happens, is yours to set. What exact CRM, project management tool, AI coding platforms to support first? That decides API versus browser automation tool. All right, so the platforms to support first will be Go High Level, Zoho, Clio, Law Ruler, Buildium. Hopefully, we're able to do it such that it can do a variety of tools, Codex, Cursor, Claude Code. And if we can't get it to where it's just able to kind of do like a wide variety, then we'll have to modify. And then the lifetime fee will be $150. And something that, we could change over time. Man, hold on, I got to do this over. So the exact CRMs should be Go High Level, Zoho, and then project management tools like Buildium, Clio, Law Ruler, coding platforms like Cursor, Codex, Claude Code, also ChatGPT, Gemini. We should be able to have a wide variety of platforms, and if not, then we can modify what we decide to do. All right, and we can also add in the MCP information for Stripe. Here's the Stripe MCP info and docs. All right, we might have to get to Wrangler a little bit further as we go along. We'll see. All right, Stripe MCP added, PRD updated, API based, cleans what each needs you to supply it. Interesting. So I got to supply an API for each one. How each tool actually gets controlled. Browser automation driving web UI, local app CLI, accessibility app script, or each tool's CLI. PRD now specifies a pluggable integration abstraction so you can keep adding tools without touching the voice layer. That's the wide variety goal baked into the architecture. The small thing I left as an open questions. Line one, looking for the extra product spelling. Depth versus breadth for V1. Shipping all 11 shallowly is a lot. I suggest picking 2 to 3 daily drivers. Support deeply first, with the rest is fast follows. Which do you actually live in day to day? All right. I think in that case, given the whole API based scenarios for those CRMs, project management tools, I would say just starting with the local apps CL would make the most sense, and browser automation. Let's begin with the local app CLI for the agentic tools like Cursor, Codex, Claude Code, and the browser automation for the web tools on Codex, Claude Code, CLIs are installed. Let me look at the existing app scalers. All right, here's my plan. I'll build a standalone independently tested Swift package that the app will later link, plus a tiny CLI harness to exercise it. Pattern C, first Cloud integration and Codex integration, pattern common, protocol registry integration, for accessibility. Pattern B, ChatGPT, native app install can also do accessibility, and Gemini. Last ones that need the most scaffolding. I think I actually just went straight to building. I didn't mean to do that. Figured we just go down the line repo structure, first thing to build, but let's see. The scaffolding, these integrations. It says both agents work end to end now. Let me run a full suite to confirm. Done with the first slice. Local CLI agent layer is built, tested, and verified. This is independently testable, and the app will link it later as a local package. Next in this track, in order of effort, Cursor integration, ChatGPT integration, Gemini integration for browser. One decision start the GUI browser adapter for Cursor and ChatGPT. Do you want me to drive the native apps via accessibility or keep everything browser-based and consistency? Given both apps are installed locally, I lean accessibility for those two and reserve. All right, so I want to provide some clarity. Okay, glad that Claude Code and Codex are hooked up. Definitely would like to hook up Cursor. For ChatGPT and Gemini, I was just giving some examples of browser-based apps that would be good. Is there a way to just like make it that I can interact with apps on the browser in general, or is that not wise to do? If not, we may just stick with Cursor, Claude Code, and Codex for now and move forward with those for now. But I would like to be able to take action on the browser or on with other things as well. Would love to know what the extent of what we could do well is. Yo. Glad we were able to hook up to the Codex, Cursor, Codex, and Claude Code. Yes, let's definitely do Cursor next. For ChatGPT and Gemini, I'm not necessarily sure we actually even really need those. I think it's more so I would like to be able to connect to different things on the browser. So if we're able to have just like a variety of things we can connect to on the browser that's like agnostic, it's like app agnostic, that would be good through browser use and or computer use. If not, if it has to be that granular, let's just stick to Codex, Cursor, and Claude Code for now. All right. So that's that. Let's use agent teams in order to build all of this out. You can go through the PRD that we have for reference. We may need to provide credentials for Wrangler when we get to that point. So then from this point on, it should just kind of cook and just build it all out. You can use agent teams, which means then you can actually have sub agents start to get involved in the process, and we would just go from there. So once this finishes, we'll come back and we will finish hooking up as far as uploading the Mac OS file, hook up payments if it hasn't already through the MCP, make sure everything is aligned, and then test out the application. All right, so agent team, all 3 coding agents are done. Log into Cursor, do a live end-to-end dispatch or start the app shell. Actually host or update the PRD, and then we'll continue forward with the PRD. Yeah, the mistake we made was it started working on parts of the integration, and we misinterpreted what I was conveying to it. Drive their CRM, PM, AI coding platform, coding agents. Yeah, in V1 with broader SaaS control, noted as later browser, computer use layer. V1 skills list now ends with coding agent via local CLIs and explicitly defers CRM. Tabled from resolved to scope, 3 coding agents, only everything else defers. My question would be, is it possible to just have the other applications outside of the ones we're doing the integrations for just be app agnostic, to where it can go on different browser and different browser tabs, and it can use browser use and computer use, and just make it agnostic? Like, what would that take? Tier 1 browser use covers 90% of what you listed, so you don't need pixel clicking for them. Launch with a remote debugging port. Then you get real APIs for a list. Open switch tabs, navigate, read. This is different browsers and different tab agnostically, almost for free. It's far more reliable than Vision because it targets the screenshot from Vision model. Size to click type, you replay it, so if you likely reuse rather than build. Open source, so the 3 real costs reversed away. Permission screen recording, latency every step, model calls. I see agent clicking around inside your login session, so to confirm before build tier 1 first. That's agnostic, like keep tier 2, tier 1. So you don't need a pixel clicking. I see. Yeah. So basically, we need the APIs. So we're gonna go with the if we're gonna include the other apps. So given that we would need to connect to the APIs and kind of get more granular in order to connect to the other apps, let's just stick with the 3 coding agentic platforms. Then I'm going to say next, you can go ahead and carry out the build, PRD that's build with the agent teams. You can go ahead and carry out the PRD build with the agent teams, work on the application end to end, test it thoroughly. Let me know when you're done and if there's anything left to tie up. I'm going to go and just write this in as a goal, an agent goal, as we did with Codex. So they both have the goal option, and we'll just come back once this is all right. So we have finished this iteration right here. I ran 22 tests, and now there are a couple of things that we need to touch up and get in place in order to finish building. So it says that it needs a real-time token plus mic. How will WebSocket versus WebRTC impact performance? All right, and then we have to get a price ID and webhook secret to wire up the purchasing. So, we got to get a developer ID certificate and app specific password. So you have to do a signing notarization process. Even if you release it indie, there's still some stuff you have to do connected to Apple developer. We have to get the bucket name plus Wrangler login to upload to R2. That's for the media file. That's for the desktop file, and then assumptions to confirm. All right. On a good network with push to talk, the difference is small. Perceived latency is dominated by model inference, but round trip time, not the transport. WebSocket will feel fine on Ethernet. Strong Wi-Fi. The gap shows up on weak or variable networks, and if you move toward always on full duplex later. Where WebRTC actually wins, real-time media brings forward things WebSocket for TCP doesn't. No head of line blocking, jitter buffer, Opus codec, built-in echo cancellation. All right, we can leave that as is. All right. For the InsForge step, do you need anything from me? If a Stripe, we need a price ID and secret to wire the purchase. I'm saying you should be connected. Yeah, MCP. Can you hook it up, or do you need anything from me? Signing notarization, developer ID cert. Help walk me through identifying the developer ID cert plus app specific password. Let's log into Wrangler. Real-time voice name. Sounds good. Let's see where we go next with. Here's the real status with what I can do versus what needs you. Developer ID cert, already there, nothing needed. You already have a valid signing identity in your keychain. Developer ID application matches the team ID baked in, so signing is ready to go. The only missing piece is the app specific password. Let's go to Apple ID, sign in, label it copy, store. That's notary tool profile. So it never sits in plain text. Run this yourself in a prompt. So the password never passes through me. After that was signed. All right. Wrangler already logged in. Shows you're authenticated. Stripe not connected. All right. So we're going to probably have to sign back in for Stripe. And that's true. We can also do InsForge native payments, like connecting InsForge to Stripe, which I've never done before. So that should be cool because InsForge has added ability to connect payments. CLI is installed, but this repo isn't linked to your InsForge project, and deploying needs secrets. Only he'll specifically need in order InsForge, your real OpenAI API key. InsForge admin API key for InsForge API key. I'm going to say, so first I'll say, for step 4, do you want to create .env file so I can paste in all the keys and you retrieve them from there? And then while doing that, I'll go to open up the Apple developers account, appleid.apple.com, sign in 552629. All right, we should be in. And now it says go to sign in security, add specific password, sign in security, add specific password. Gonna create a new one, call it what did it say, Kofi notarization, copy the value, that was specific password. All right, so where's the B? Here it is. Okay, so we can paste these in here, and then we may need to paste them into InsForge as well. Yeah, so it's taking precaution by saying, not to post it in the chat because we don't want anyone to get a hold of it, especially the chats don't get deleted. But I've typically found it not to be too much of a concern, if I'm being honest with you, as long as no one else is having access to the chat. But all right, so we'll add all of these in. We have the OpenAI API key. We can add the Stripe credentials from Stripe. We'll just get that from Stripe in the developer area within Stripe. Then in InsForge, we'll provide the CLI information again for InsForge. All right, and we'll do the app specific password first, which is what was listed up here in the beginning. That's going to be this line right here. Then we can run that in another terminal. It's going to come here, click bash, and I'll give you another terminal. Oh, we had the wrong email here. Specific password command isn't going through. It's the email. Let's try this again. Kofi notarization. Let's try this. This one should work. All right, in the meantime, let's get the Stripe secret key, price ID, webhook secret. But yeah, we should be able to connect through MCP though, so I might be gonna do that. Processing slowly. Let's try this now. There we go. All right, validated the credentials. Then I will say, next I'd like to make sure we're hooked up to the Stripe MCP. So if we type /MCP for a Stripe, hold on, copy that, exit out, /MCP. Let's see, Stripe here or nah? Stripe is not here. All right, so that means we have to log back in. We may need to restart the session to log in, to be connected to Stripe MCP. Can you give me a prompt to continue with the session after logging back in? So after Stripe, then we've got Wrangler, which we should already be connected to, and then there's also InsForge and OpenAI API. Stripe, InsForge, Wrangler. Okay, connected. Wrangler, InsForge, Stripe. Yes. If I go back to InsForge, I look at payments. You can configure the Stripe API keys here. Test or live environment. Test mode, live mode, hooks. I wonder if we can fill it in itself using the MCP. That would be helpful. All right, the R2 bucket is not created. All right, exit. I'm gonna sign back in, get the command, and type in the prompt. Let's see, Stripe. We got Stripe right here. I'm gonna authenticate, authorize. I'm just gonna say, hook each one up for me. Start with the notarization, then do Stripe path A, then InsForge. Here's the CLI info for InsForge and Wrangler. We have the bucket, so it's just continuing. We'll let it hook up each one, then we'll be back. Just now saying, edge functions deployed and active. Config secret set for Mac OS block InsForge.env slash replace all this. Earlier field read was fooled. These are still templates. Need two real values. Please paste them into InsForge. OpenAI API key, Stripe secret key test. Let's get that OpenAI API key. Might have to get a new one. So you know what? Just title the Kofi too. Go into InsForge, paste these in. Say I've added in the API key and InsForge API key. Get the Stripe through the MCP, and let's continue. I'm gonna say also the notarization was confirmed. We have to save the ENV. Hold on. Notarization is done. Non-important discovery about the MC's connected to your live account. Create the live. Creating the Stripe key. It's called Kofi. Gonna paste this into InsForge. This is a live key. I just pasted in the live key to find where the test is. Then all right, we're just gonna stick with the live. I can't find the test, and I'm annoyed. So make the lifetime. But this is annoying. Why can't I find the live? Oh, the test. I see. you do it from up here. We can keep it the same. We'll keep it the same. All right, so the notarization is done, which allows us to deploy it, which will give us the ability to deploy it on Wrangler, which is on Cloudflare, on R2, which is on Cloudflare, through Wrangler, which allows us to connect to Cloudflare. Ins4 is hooked up. Stripe payments are hooked up. Now what we got to determine is, okay, uploading the DMG, which is the actual file, the Mac OS file, to Cloudflare. And then we've also got to actually make sure the app itself works. So I'm going to say, to my understanding, the things that we have left to do are to upload the actual Mac OS file as a DMG, right, to Cloudflare. And we also have to test out the app as well. We haven't tested the app. So can we go ahead, test the app, start that with that first, and then we can move to actually uploading it to be able to have like a download link. And then maybe we could do like a landing page. Create a screen, that's morphic, static, we're signing and onboarding. Run test entitlement. All right, so here's the end-to-end test. I need you to drive the sign up since it needs a real email you control. Click the Ko-fi menu bar icon, open settings, account tab, search a create account, enter real email, password, create account. You land on the glass morphic verify email screen. Check your inbox. Once verified, you'll be signed in. Go to the license tab. It'll show no active license. Then I take over. Tell me the email you signed up with. I'll grant lifetime entitlement. Back in app, hit refresh. License status. It should flip to active. Unlock. Test voice. Hold. FN. Push talk and talk to Ko-fi. That exercises. Scenario to end. Go ahead and do step 1 to 4. Then give me the email. Anything looks off in UI. And tell me I'll fix it. 1 hits out. Entitlement grant. In step 5 exactly what to do. Do I open this up in Xcode? Like how do I get the icon? So the same code should be at the top near the clock, but I don't see any waveform example. Let me get this. Not seeing there in the menu bar. All right, let's see. I need to delete some of these from here. Here we go. I think this is it right here. Ko-fi. Yep. Yeah. This is right here. Settings, account, tab to sign up, create an account, 6-digit code. Okay, signed in, push to talk. All right. Okay, so I created an account on the no license tab. Now refresh it in the app, go back to the account, trigger a refresh. It shows active license. It shows active license now. Yep. Now we can test it. Hold option space. An orb should show up while holding say something. Release option space. Hey Ko-fi, what's going on? Option space, hold on. Hey Ko-fi, what's going on? Oops, let's try this again. Hey Ko-fi, what's going on? Looks like we've got some issues here. This error is coming up. Hey Ko-fi, what's going on? All right, let's try this again. Ko-fi, how's it going?
All good here. Moving steady and smiling. What are we getting done on your Mac today?
All right, so it looks like I actually have to click on option and space in order for it to work. Yeah, so are you able to type into my Claude Code?
Got it. Before I do anything that could change files, I need your clear yes. What exactly do you want me to run in Claude Code, and in which folder? I'm ready once you confirm. Tell me the exact task you want sent to Claude Code and the exact folder path, if it matters, and I'll proceed only after your yes.
I just want to test that it works and that you're able to use it.
I can do a safe test, like asking the agent to report the current Git status, but I need your clear yes first. Say yes, run it, and if you want a specific folder, give me the path. I didn't hear a clear yes or a folder. Read it back.
Yes.
All right. Before anything runs, I need the folder path spelled out so I can confirm it precisely. Please say the exact folder path, character by character, starting with the first slash. I'll repeat it back exactly, and then I'll run a simple Git status check through Claude Code. I didn't catch the path. Please say it now, character by character. For example, /users /your name /folder, and I'll repeat it back digit by digit before doing anything.
I don't know the folder path. I can tell you the name of the project is called Ko-fi, which is Kofi.
I can't safely guess. Please find the full path in Finder by right-clicking the project and holding Option to copy it, or in Terminal with PWD inside the project. Then read it to me character by character so I can repeat it exactly before running anything.
All right, so we've got some issues here. The first issue is that me having to hold down Option and space sort of defeats the purpose, because it's okay to hold down Option and space to wake Ko-fi up, but then from there I should be able to just speak to Ko-fi back and forth until I tell Ko-fi to stop, right? And the second thing is it's making me, I'm asking it if it can use Claude Code, but it's asking me to spell out the path of the folder letter by letter. Like it's too much. All right, let's see how this works now. Oh, it's got me signing in again. I'm signed in. All right, let's try this again. All right, let's try it. Ko-fi, what's going on?
All I'm talking about today.
Yeah, all right, so you able to hear what I'm saying?
All right, sounds like that cut off. What are we trying to do?
Yeah, I want you to pull up my Claude Code and start just coding a project.
Okay, I'm about say yes, say.
It's getting like too sensitive at the things. It's like reacting to everything now.
Got you. If you want, I need, say yes, then tell me the folder name. Okay, great. I still need.
Okay, now Kofi is too sensitive to any sound. It's very choppy and not allowing full sentences and thoughts to get out. Kofi, what's going on?
All good. What can I help you with today?
Yeah, I just want to ask you, what are some of the things that you're able to do?
I can.
So sensitive, yes. It's like it's not responding to anything because it's just so sensitive to. It says the first 3 words and then it must like get sensitive to something.
Sounds like try. Lower use that should fix it. If it's enter, then we should be good. Once your mic, I'm here and ready when you are. Just say the word.
All right, are we ready to go now?
Yes. Sir. Go ahead and tell me what you'd like to do. Say the task, and I'll handle it. Say the task, and I'll handle it. Just.
Kofi, what's going on? Kofi, can you hear what I'm saying? Hello, Kofi. Say something. Kofi, what's going on? Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. What would you like to do on your Mac right now?
Finally, we've got you working. It took a minute. Can you hear me, Kofi?
Yes, I can hear you, and I'm awake now. What do you want to do? Open an app, send a message, or check your schedule?
It really took a minute to get you working. Kofi.
Yeah, I had a slow start there. I'm with you now, though. What do you want to do next?
All right, can we open up Claude Code, a Claude Code instance, and just any project? I just want to see you start building something.
On it. I'll open Claude Code so you can see it in action. I couldn't find an app called Claude Code on this Mac. If you want, I can try launching Cursor or another coding app instead.
Yeah, you could do it.
Or we can dispatch to a local agent once you say which one you prefer.
Yes, you can either launch Cursor or you can launch a Claude Code instance via the terminal. Just do something.
Okay, I can launch Cursor, but I need your clear yes before I open an app.
Yes.
Cursor is open and ready.
Yes.
Want me to dispatch to a coding agent next, or are you just exploring for now?
Yes, put up a coding agent. I want to see it. I want us to see you do something.
I can dispatch the Claude Code agent to start a small change, which may modify files. Do you want me to do that now?
Well, let me see it. I don't see what's on the screen.
I can't directly show you the screen, but I can run the agent and then read back what it changed. I'm about to dispatch Claude Code to make a small starter change that may modify files. Do you want me to proceed?
Which folder are you in?
Good call. Let me check which folders are available so we can pick the right one. It's checking the available project folders right now. The moment it returns, I'll read out the options so you can choose the one you want. Returned a lot of folders, so let's keep it simple. You can pick something like Kofi, Cursor Chats, New Project, or Agent Skills. Say the folder name you want, and I'll run the agent there.
Yeah, let's go with Kofi.
Nice. Kofi it is. Dispatching the agent there now. It's still running in the Kofi folder. If you don't see changes yet, that's normal. Once it finishes, I'll summarize exactly what it edited. Done. It created a README file in Kofi with an assistant connection status section and noted that readme.md was the only file changed. Perfect. You just saw it make a real edit. If you want, we can have it do one more small change, like adding a simple file or a quick function stub.
Can you just add a summary of this whole project to the README of what it's been like interacting with you?
I can do that, but I need your yes before I change the README.
Yes.
I'm about to have the agent add a project summary about the interaction to the README. Should I proceed? I'm about to have the agent update the README with a project summary of this interaction. Say yes to proceed or no to cancel.
Yes.
Nice. Updating the README summary now. It's still running and updating the README. If it takes another moment, that's normal. I'll summarize the changes as soon as it finishes. All set. The README now has a concise project overview, a session summary, and a note that the interaction was clear and professional. Welcome. Want to explore another change or call it a day?
Can you self-correct yourself? Like, can you put a prompt through to say that you are unable to show me screens, like the actual screens? You can only tell me the work that's been done, whereas I should be able to see the screens pop up and leave leave my desktop. Like, I should be able to see it pop up in and out. Can you put a prompt in around that?
Okay, let me think about the best way to phrase that for your project. I can add that instruction to the project, but I need a clear yes before changing files. Also, tell me where you want it. In the README, in a prompt file, or in an agent config. Say the location, then say yes to proceed.
Can you type it into the chat that in the Claude Code instance that's currently open?
I can't see your screen, so I can't tell if the chat box is focused. but I can type a prompt into the frontmost text field for you.
Yes.
Here's the text I'd insert. Note, this assistant cannot display your screen or guarantee visible UI changes. It can only report actions taken and results returned. If that looks right, say yes.
Yes.
And make sure the chat input is selected, and I'll type it in.
Yes.
Great. Make sure the Claude Code chat input is focused. Then I'll type the note. I couldn't type it because this Mac hasn't granted accessibility permission for keystrokes. I can still copy it to your clipboard so you can paste it yourself if you want.
All right, so I've added accessibility permissions now, so you can try again.
Nice. I'll try typing that note again for you now. Done. The note is typed into the active field. If you want, I can also copy it to the README later for consistency.
Do it again. Try it again.
Got it. I'll type it again into the active field now. Done again. The note has been typed into the active field. If you want, I can also save it into the project files next with your confirmation.
All right, so now I need you to turn what's in that field to a prompt to where the coding agent will make changes so that we can watch the desktop, so that we can display the screen and guarantee visible UI changes. So it'll just be a prompt for changes to be made to the app.
I can turn that into an instruction for the coding agent. But this is a real code change request and may not be fully possible. I need your yes before dispatching it.
Yes.
I'm about to send an instruction to the Claude Code agent in the Ko-fi project to modify the app so we can display the screen and provide visible UI feedback. Should I proceed?
Yes.
Got it. I'll dispatch that to the coding agent and see what it can implement. Here's a tighter prompt you can paste. Add a visible status panel and action log to the macOS app UI to reflect assistant actions and results in real time. Do not implement screen mirroring. If screen display or mirroring is requested, show a clear note explaining platform and permission limits. Update the README with what users should see and any permissions needed. List files changed and provide manual test steps. Paste this into Cursor. Add a visible status panel and action log to the macOS app UI to reflect assistant actions and results in real time. Do not implement screen mirroring. If screen display or mirroring is requested, show a clear note explaining platform and permission limits. Update the README with what users should see and any permissions needed. List files changed and provide manual test steps. That's the whole prompt. Paste it into Cursor and run it. If you'd like, I can help you verify the results after it completes. All right. Once it finishes, tell me what you see in the UI, and I'll help you confirm whether the status panel and logs behave as expected. If the run is still going, check for a new status panel and an action log window or sidebar. Trigger a simple action and see if it appears there. Then open the README and confirm it explains what users should see and any permissions needed. Tell me what you find, and I'll help verify it. These agent and UI permission loops can be weirdly tricky and time-consuming.
All right, so I need you to make some significant changes to Ko-fi. So right now I can speak to Ko-fi. Ko-fi's responding, that's cool, but I need to be able to see the changes that Ko-fi is making. I need a visual, like I need to see the terminal actually pop up and Ko-fi be in Claude Code and actually see the text Ko-fi's putting into the chat and see the responses that come out. And then I need to be able to tell Ko-fi to, okay, go to Cursor and do something in Cursor chat, and then see the actual changes that happen visually, and then go tell Ko-fi, go to Codex, and then the Codex terminal pulls up. I need to actually see what Ko-fi is doing. Right now, this is lackluster. And let's make this a goal and test this to ensure that it's working. Before finishing. Ko-fi, what's going on, my brother?
All good, my friend. I'm here and ready to help you get something done on your Mac. What are we doing?
All right, so I want you to do something with Cursor. Can you just open up a project in Cursor and just start coding a prompt?
I can do that, but I need two quick things first. Which project folder do you want Cursor to work in? And do you want me to go ahead and dispatch the coding task once you choose it?
Can you show me which folders that we have available?
On it. I'll ask the agent for the available project folders so you can pick one. I've got a long list of folders available. Pick one by name. For example, Ko-fi, Cursor Chats, Profit Pulse, or Still App. I'll use that as the project.
Let's go with Ko-fi.
I'm about to dispatch Cursor to start a coding task in the Ko-fi project. Do you want me to do that now?
Actually, you know what? Let's go with Still App.
I'm about to dispatch Cursor to start a coding task in the Still App project. Do you want me to do that now?
Yes, I do.
All right. Dispatching Cursor to Still App now. Done. Cursor is working in Still App with the prompt, and you can watch the changes in its chat.
All right. Okay, I see. I see. What exactly prompt did you put through?
I sent a prompt that tells Cursor to inspect the project structure and key setup files, propose a short 3 to 5 step plan for a meaningful improvement or bug fix, then implement the smallest safe, non-breaking change that improves developer experience, like fixing a script or clarifying README setup steps. And finally, report the changes and any follow-up suggestions.
That's cool. Okay, well, we'll come back to that for sure.
Got it. I'm standing by.
What's going on?
All good here. Just ready to help you get something done. What are we working on?
Can you pull up Claude Code and open up the Still app project, and can you put a prompt through just asking it to go through the repository and identify if there are any specific ways to improve on the app?
I can do that, but I need your confirmation first. I'm about to dispatch Claude Code to review the Still app project and suggest improvements across the repository. Should I go ahead?
Yes, you should.
All right. Dispatching Claude Code to review the repo and surface meaningful improvements now. Claude Code is on it in the Still app folder now. You can watch its progress in the terminal window and review the report it produces. I can't pull the report from here unless the agent returns it in the tool output. Check the terminal window where Claude Code is running and open the report it generated. If you paste it here, I can help you prioritize and plan the changes.
Yeah, so you can open the folder. It says you can trust the folder.
I can't click Trust in Terminal or handle that prompt for you. In the terminal window where Claude Code opened, choose Trust Folder, then let it run. Once it produces the report, paste it here, and I'll help you turn it into a clear action plan. I can't interact with that Trust Folder prompt from here. Please click Trust Folder in the terminal, then let Claude Code finish. When the report is ready, paste it here, and I'll help you prioritize the next steps. No stress. Click Trust Folder in terminal, then wait for Claude Code to finish. When you see its findings, paste them here, and I'll help you turn them into a tight, prioritized plan.
Can you pull up Codex and open up the Still app folder? I want you to put a prompt through using Codex to just analyze the repo and see if there are any improvements that can be made to the app.
I can do that, but I need your confirmation first. I'm about to dispatch Codex to analyze the Still app folder and suggest improvements for the repo. Should I go ahead?
Yes.
All right. Dispatching Codex to review the Still app repo now. Codex is on it in the Still app folder, and you can watch its progress in the terminal window. When it finishes, I can help you turn the suggestions into a step-by-step plan. I can't directly read Codex's live output from here. Check the terminal window for its status. And if you paste the summary or results, I'll help you interpret them and plan next steps.
Okay, so now while that's happening with Codex, can you pull up Claude Code and pull up the project titled CRM? And can you do the same thing? Put a prompt through asking it to just analyze the repo and see if it can identify any changes to make.
I can do that, but I need your confirmation first. I'm about to dispatch Claude Code to analyze the project folder named CRM and suggest improvements. Should I go ahead?
Yes.
All right. Dispatching Claude Code to review the CRM project now. Claude Code is running in the CRM folder with your analysis prompt. When you get its summary, paste it here, and I'll help you turn it into a practical plan.
Okay, now the next thing I want you to do is we're already in the Ko-fi project. I want you to for the Ko-fi project to put a prompt through us to ask that we can move the instances of the terminal instances, that when they pop up, they shouldn't all pop up in the same place. Like they should pop up in different places so that they're not just like on top of each other. Also, I'm noticing in the Claude Code instance right now, it's asking if you want to proceed. And so we need to be able to figure out how to get past these permissions.
2 things. First, need your confirmation before dispatching work to the Ko-fi project, since that can change files. I'm about to send an instruction to update terminal window placement behavior and improve how permission prompts are handled. Should I go ahead? Second, for the Claude Code proceed question, you'll need to answer directly in that terminal window. For example, by typing yes or no, because I can't bypass interactive permission prompts from here. Got it. Let me line up that change for Ko-fi while you handle the prompt. Please reply yes if you want me to dispatch that change to the Ko-fi project. In the meantime, Type yes in the Claude Code terminal prompt to let it proceed. I can't click through that from here. Please say yes if you want me to dispatch the Ko-fi project change.
All right, so I think that's a good place to stop. So we've gotten basic functionality from the application. So it can pull up these different coding agents and basically serve as a co-pilot for you. It pops up in the menu bar, so it has no regular screen. There's a screen to where you can sign in, and then if you were to click on get licensed, then you can go to the Stripe page and pay for it. And then the last step will be to just actually upload the Mac OS file to Cloudflare R2. So I'm gonna tell it. So we're just gonna stop right here. So it's now pulling up the coding agents. It's serving as somewhat of a co-pilot. We would have to get a little bit more granular in terms of permissions that it allows or doesn't allow, and being able to work through, being able to give say yes without having to say yes every single time, things of that nature. But I think this is a good place to kind of halt things, and then let's move through getting the DMG file created and then uploaded to R2 using Wrangler. In addition to that, let's go ahead and create a landing page to where on the landing page it says that the app is available for Mac, and then when you click on the available for Mac, it takes you to where you can download the app, and just make the page modern and chic and use our code base for just a sense of like what we should have that page be. And then you can also use the Mobbin MCP for design inspiration for that landing page. And then you can deploy that landing page to a Vercel, and we'll go about it that way. So once we have the DMG file and the Vercel landing page, we should be done for now. All right, so I'm going to make that a goal, and that should be the last two parts of this. So once we have the DMG file, which is the Mac OS file that you download to your computer and run, and the landing page, then we've built the app, right? We finished the app. There are ways that it could be fine-tuned, it could be improved significantly. This kind of gives a sense of, okay, how do you attach payments? How do you set up this database? How do you build a Mac app, and what are the different elements involved? Okay, a DMG file and Cloudflare, and then programmatically working with Cloudflare. How do you work through bugs and troubleshoot? How do you use the goal feature in Claude Code the way you can use it in Codex? So I hope that this has been able to kind of introduce you to and give you a sense of the steps that you need to take if and when you're going about building out a desktop app, and how there's still hurdles you have to work through in the process. What I'll say is, as you're setting it up, you can put as much detail in the beginning so that maybe there aren't certain things you'll have to deal with as time goes on, because you've told the agent everything that you need or more of what you need. And then as the models get stronger and continue to come out, they will have that assumed knowledge, right? If you're using Claude Fable 5 or Mythos 5, or if you're using GPT 5.6, which should be launching in the next couple of weeks to the general public, it'll just be better in general. So this is where we're at. We're letting this goal run, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so it's completed the goal. If we go to this link right here, pull up the landing, it's the Get Ko-fi landing page. And of course, we can always change stuff around if we like. It's actually pretty cool for a landing page. Opus 4.8 is pretty good at design. And then it deployed it to Vercel. So it's on my Vercel account. We also uploaded the DMG. So if I click on available for Mac, see it downloads the DMG file. And then if I open that file, you can see the orb. So now they've made the orb my logo. I can drag that into my applications folder. And if I go into my applications folder, I should see Ko-fi there. Ko-fi's right there. I can open it up. You see it pops up right here at the top, and then you can sign into the account and so on and so forth. So that is a Mac app. That's the desktop app. And as you can see, there were some bumps on the way here, but if I go to Cloudflare, where we were logged into, you'll see in storage and databases, R2 object storage overview, where on R2 is the DMG located? It said in the bucket. Oh, it's a different account. Must be my Sirach and B account. Actually, I have to sign in via GitHub. All right. Storage, databases, R2 overview. All right, so we've got voice, and then we've got Kofi right here. Yep. So this looks good. So okay, so then that's R2, and so you see it uploaded here. If I click on that, you'll see this is the folder for the DMG. So it's stored in Cloudflare, and it was uploaded here programmatically through Claude Code. And so yes, and now I can use Kofi on my computer. I could also send it to others. There are clearly some fixes and changes to still make and to improve on it. But this gives you the foundation and sort of the fundamentals around what it looks like to build a desktop app. This is a Mac OS app. It's got the database through InSforge, login, right? We've got the DMG file that you actually download to your computer. We've got a landing page, right, that we did via Vercel. We've got payments, connected through Stripe. So that kind of gives you full sort of landscape of everything involved, and we're connected to Xcode through Cursor and Claude Code. So that's it for this part. In the next step, we're going to be taking this now to mobile apps. So we've now worked through a web app, right? We've worked through a desktop app, and then next we're going to go through a mobile app. This one should be fun. Let's do it. All right, so you've seen now building a web app using OpenAI's Codex. We've gone into Claude Code and building a desktop app. Now, in the next step, we're going to be going into building a mobile app, and we're going to be using the native Cursor model in order to do so. Now, with mobile apps, in this scenario, we're going to be dealing with Apple again. So we'll be using Xcode, and we'll be talking through what it takes to also submit your app to the App Store. There are several different stages involved in going from your app being built to then putting it into a testing environment and then actually launching it on the App Store. We're going to be taking that first step of actually sending it to what is called test flight for beta testing. And you're going to see how actually straightforward, even more so than the desktop app and even the web app example that we did, building out a mobile app can be, and using these agentic platforms, and just another additional sort of way of leveraging agents. All right, so we're back in Cursor, and this time around, we're going to now be working on a mobile app. So we're going to be building out a native Apple app. So it's going to be built for iOS. You have two types of apps, right? You have apps that can be built for Apple, iOS. You have apps that can be built for Android, which will be through Google. And when you're building apps, you can either build them natively or you can build them through a framework that allows you basically a roundabout way, or was deemed to be an easier way of going about building. And so that way that is done and popularized is called Expo. So you have a platform like expo.dev where you can use this framework that allow you to build web apps, Apple and Android apps from the same code base, or you can build them natively. Personally, I've gotten really into the habit of and really been drawn to building apps natively. And that's why we're going to be doing it as a native Apple app. So we will not be using Expo in this video. Now the app is going to be called I'm Going for a Walk. So this is going to be a walking app, and basically an app that allows you to track your steps when you're walking, and it'll show you routes on a map when you're walking, and you can save them and kind of compile them and show like how much you're walking, day in and day out for like different routes. Now, similar to the desktop app, we're going to pull up Xcode. So in Xcode, we're going to create a new project. Now, rather than Mac OS, is now going to be iOS, and it will be a Swift UI that we build with. And the difference between a Mac app and the mobile app is that we have to submit it to the App Store. So with desktop apps, you can submit it to the Mac App Store to have it released that way, but you can also release it indie. And a lot of people do that so they don't have to deal with a lot of restrictions. But with the mobile app, you actually have to submit it to the App Store. You go through the process of creating an Apple developers account. You type in Apple developers, click Apple developer. You can sign in to an account. It costs $99 a year. You can build as many apps as you want and release as many as you want through this account. I'm going to sign in, and this is where we will submit our app to. Now, there's a way of actually programmatically submitting your app to the app store, so you don't necessarily have to do everything through the UI. You can do it programmatically. I'm going to go to it's on the App Store Connect. So you can see here, I actually have 3 apps that have already been approved by the App Store officially, and I have a bunch of apps that I've built out in general. So this one's going to be called "I'm Going for a Walk." All right. So the first step is we're going to pull up Claude Code again. So you know what? So this one we're going to build out with Cursor. So we've built out an app with Codex, right? The web app. We built out an app with Claude Code within Cursor, and then we're going to build this out natively with Cursor, and we're going to use the Cursor composer to do it, and maybe we'll toggle with some of the other model options here as well. So this one is going to be a very simple app, but we want to make it chic, right? So similar to last time where we used the Mobbin MCP. So if we go back to Mobbin, this time we're going with Cursor, and we're going to implement this to Cursor. So we want to say, hold on. So we're looking to build an app called "I'm Going for a Walk." And basically this app is going to be a walking app. And the whole idea is that you can start going for a walk and turn this on or start a session, and it'll map your loop on a Google Maps like feature. And then when you end the session, it'll show you a visual of the loop that you took, and you can save it. And then you can start compiling these different walking sessions that you have and show how much you've been walking and allow it to kind of accumulate over time. I want to use the Mobbin MCP to source different walking apps and fitness apps for design inspiration. I want this app to be very modern looking and sharp. And so if you can source a couple of different designs, and then you can ask me for my input on what I would like to most go with, and then we can move forward with the design and kind of work on a plan to then start moving this forward. Okay, so we're going to let that go. And one of the great things about the Cursor agent, the Cursor Composer 2.5, is that it's significantly faster than every other agent. Hold on. So it's saying, getting ahead of things, it's saying Mobbin MCP is not available. So okay, we got to say here is the Mobbin MCP JSON fig. I was trying to use Appify and web search, which probably would have been fine, but no, we want to like do it for real. We want to do it for real. And we may have to restart the session. So it looks like it's still going to Appify while also pulling the MCP info. So it says for the MCP, find Mobbin, click connect, sign in with your Mobbin account, settings, tools, and MCPs. Yeah, let's reload Cursor. It looks like it's already gave us some design directions, but we're gonna reload Cursor. New agent is not showing up in here. Hold on. Add this to the MCP. Gotta restart the Cursor. All right, so then we're gonna connect to the Mobbin MCP. You see the connection path a little bit different for Cursor than for Claude Code and Codex. With the other two, it's more like how you'd imagine it would be in the terminal. All right, so we're connected. Should be connecting. All right, we've got the tools. All right, so now I'm gonna have to type the prompt in again. So I'm gonna say, all right, so I'm looking to build a walking app called "I'm Going for a Walk," and this should be a simple app. I want it to be chic, modern looking. Basically, the way it will work is when you go for a walk, you can start a session, and you'll be tracked in that session. And then when you're done with the session, you can click end session, and it'll show you what the trail you took was, and it should be like a Google Maps like feature when you're in session. And then as you do more and more sessions, it will accumulate, and you can see like all the sessions that you've done, and you'll be able to also just kind of accumulate the mileage of walking that happens over time. I want you to take design inspiration using the Mobbin MCP and kind of look at different fitness apps and walking apps out there. I want this to be a very modern but also sharp kind of application. So let's start with the design inspiration from Mobbin, and then we can kind of decide in the direction that we want to go in. Okay, put that through. So it's looking at search, flow search results, screen search results, looking at different apps that are out here. I like this one right here, this gentler streak one, Strava. Yeah, I think the Strava vibe is more of what we're really going for, maybe just different colors. I pulled iOS patterns from Mobbin, cross fitness and route tracking. What the best references do your core flow maps cleanly. The core flow maps cleanly onto patterns already proven in top apps. 3 design directions: midnight walk, any distance, inspired, editorial, premium, almost fashion forward, dark, confident, sharp, gentle streak, warm, calm, refined, light mode. Best if you want approachable and wellness oriented walking as self-care, not performance. Runner sharp, want to feel like a serious tracker, crisp data forward, support adjacent, recommended screen architecture, map full width, midnight walk, proposed design tokens, pick direction. Okay, so let's see what it was. So this is the any distance one right here. I'm gonna trust its judgment, and I'm gonna go with a combination. Was that not an option? I thought that was an option. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with the recommendation. Let's go with your recommendation. I'm impartial. Right. Midnight Walk is implemented and the project builds successfully. Here's what you've built. Design direction A. Map, go through dark background, bold, rounded typography, dark map kit, walk tab, countdown, active session, summary, history tab, session detail, map kit, core location, Swift data, location permission, open Xcode. GPS doesn't work well on simulator, so we would have to run it on our phone if we wanted to really run it, but allow location when prompt swipe down during an active walk. Possible next steps, background location, tracking with screen off, milestone badges for share route as an image. Tell me what you want to tell next. All right, so let's go to Xcode and we can refresh here. All right, so it opened up on my phone. Let's see if I can get my phone showing on the screen. All right, here we go. Cool. So I'm going for a walk. It's very simple. Okay, history, walks, start walk, allow by using app. Cool. Yeah, so this is where we're at in Philly, and yeah, so we would walk and then we would finish. So you know what? Let me go for a little walk and then come back and show you what it looks like. All right, so I just came back from my walk, went for a half-mile walk around the block, and this is what we got right here. So it maps your route, shows you your pace and time, distance you went for. Click done here, and it shows you your recent walk. You can click on it again, see what that walk was, your all-time mileage, and what your history is for the week, the month, all time. So it's very simple, straight to the chase. And so we'll keep it at that. So one prompt, we're able to do that. And with just one prompt, taking inspiration from Mobbin and a couple of other places. And so as you can see, depending on the idea you have and what you're trying to work on, it could take differing amounts of time to build these apps. So, all right. So the next step is when you're working with apps, right? Typically, you're going to want some sort of onboarding, right? You're going to want to have, of course, if there's going to be payments involved, you're going to need a payment provider. So payment provider, a really good one for mobile apps is called Revenue Cat. So you can attach Revenue Cat to your app, and Revenue Cat now also has an MCP server, so it can actually build out the payment rail for you. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and actually show the process of what it looks like to even just submit this to the App Store now. So if we go to the App Store, actually, if we come back to Cursor and then go to Xcode, you'll be able to see here that you'll see something called archive, and that's will allow you to then take the steps to submit it to the App Store. You build it. It says building here at the top right, and then you'll be able to distribute that app. Send it to the App Store. But what I'm actually going to do is sometimes I like to ask Cursor for that direction. So I like what we have thus far. I want to just go ahead and submit it to test flight so that we can have it ready for any sort of alpha testing and moving forward from here. So if you can help me prep it for test flight. And again, the cool thing about working with Cursor, the Composer 2.5 is just the speed. Like it moves very quickly. So you see it went ahead and actually archived it for us. It's preparing the test flight build. It's filling in some of the requirements needed. So it added an icon for me. You see that yellow walking icon there. Now the archive has succeeded. Export has failed. All right. So it said upload failed because this app doesn't exist in App Store Connect yet. But an idea. Create the app in App Store Connect. Go to App Store Connect. App, new app, going for a walk, upload the build, select the archive, distribute app, App Store Connect, upload. Can you go ahead and create the app for me in App Store Connect? So using the App Store Connect API to take this down. So going into my browser, I will likely have to sign in. And I will say the browser use for Cursor and Claude Code have gotten significantly better. All right, so you see it's using browser use to go in and actually create all the fields here. All right, so it has submitted. It says app created, build uploaded. This banner about Apple Developers Program license. Yeah, we're already part of it. Background search turned up. API credentials. Those were used to confirm the app. It's uploaded. Check test flight once process finishes. So if we go to our account, refresh, we now see I'm going for a walk right here. In test flight, let's see. None of the algorithms mentioned, ready for submission. So then at that point, you can now download this to your phone. So you can add in people for internal testing, right? Create an internal testing group, called group A, 2 characters, say group A. And then you also have external testing. So internal testing would be alpha testing. That's for people on your team. External testing would be beta testing, and you could decide who goes into what group. So then you just add a tester. Let me just add one tester, and then you choose the build for it. So you can say, all right, well, I think it's already been added. All right. Then you get an email, and you can download TestFlight, the app TestFlight, to your computer, to your phone, and begin testing the app. And that's literally it. That's all it takes in order to submit an app to TestFlight for testing. And that's for alpha testing. Now for beta testing actually requires approval from Apple. And so for beta testing, typically it's very, very easy to get it approved. You just, same thing you did for alpha testing, you just add a build, invite testers in the same way. And Apple just has to review it before they allow it to be downloaded by TestFlight. And then once you're done testing, you can put it out for distribution, and that's to the main app store. And there are several different areas that you need to fill out. So in the description, I will put some of the kind of pointers that will be helpful for just when you're submitting to the official app store, and it could take a couple of times to get approved. My first app that I did, I got rejected. I got rejected twice before getting approved. The second app that I did got rejected like 7 times. The third app I just did, I got rejected twice also, I believe. So you can get rejected a couple of times. It's not something to be discouraged about, and that's pretty much how it goes for mobile apps. And you'll have it on the app store, and you can distribute. And you see how Cursor even added the logo for it, and how much the AI can do on your behalf. Kind of best practice to get in the habit of just identifying which platforms have MCPs and APIs, and then just providing it to the agent, and it can take over for you at that point. But that's how it works for the mobile apps. A lot of what I even just showed, I used to do all of it manually, down to the archiving, to the adding, changes, the version changes. These are all things that literally you can do through the AI agents now here, the coding agents, and it drastically cuts down the time. And a lot of what you deal with that can be challenges are usually things like bugs, right, or just issues in the actual features and functionality you have to work through. But a lot of the logistics are way easier now. So that's the mobile app. I'm going for a walk. You see how straightforward that was. And in the next step, I'm going to be showing you some footage from the process of actually building out a Chrome extension. And a lot of people don't realize that it's actually a Chrome store, right? If you you can go to a Chrome store, or Chrome web store that only sell extensions or offer extensions. And some of these are free tools, some of them are paid tools. But this is one avenue as well that people don't think about when it comes to apps and vibe coding, that you can vibe code extensions, right? And so that's what's coming up next, how to vibe code a Chrome extension and also commercialize it. This next video will kind of give you another perspective on Chrome extensions. The concept of this applies to all sorts of marketplace apps that are non-traditional. So you have marketplace apps for other kinds of browser extensions, and also marketplace apps for industry specific products. You can go and think about the industry that you're into or the profession that you're into, take law or property management or marketing or wherever. And in a lot of cases, you can find these marketplaces that you can build more simpler kind of apps for, that creates value and has also a baked in sort of distribution channel for you being on that marketplace's app store, which is typically less competitive than if you're going onto the Apple App Store or the Android App Store. So let's get into it, building out a Google Chrome extension. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how I was able to build Blur app, submit it to the Google Chrome store, get it approved, and monetize it. And so I built Blur app using something called Anti-Gravity. Anti-Gravity is Google's new AI native development environment, agentic development environment. And it's actually free for those who are curious. You can use a number of different models from Gemini 3 to Claude Sonnet, Claude Opus 4.5, and one of the smaller GPT models. Now, they do rate limit you, so you have to be mindful of that unless you upgrade to the Ultra Gemini plan. And so in order to get started with this, the first step is actually to ideate with ChatGPT. So I went over to chat and I basically talked through the idea I wanted to build. And the reason why I built this in the first place is I was looking for a solution to dealing with sensitive information when I'm recording videos like this. So whether that be API keys, email addresses, in some cases, phone numbers, credit card information, how can I just super quickly remove that from the screen when I'm on sites that show that kind of sensitive information? And so I saw alternatives on the market. I saw solutions on the market already, but I thought to myself that I may actually be able to build one myself relatively quickly and offer it as a more inexpensive alternative in the marketplace. And so that was what I did. And so within chat, I spoke through my thoughts around what I wanted to build. And then it gave me the initial prompt that I was then able to take to Anti-Gravity, pop it into the chat box, and then it started to cook. And it created all the files that are necessary for it. And one of the things I really like about these Chrome extensions, you'll see that it tends to be fewer files, right? So you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 files in total, including the actual logo, which is less than you would typically see in a traditional web app, for example. And so once those files were there, I was able to then go onto Google Chrome, click the puzzle, click on Manage Extensions, and then it takes you to this extension management area. And all you had to then do is click on Load Unpacked. After turning on developer mode, this only works if you have developer mode on. Putting on developer mode shows this Load Unpacked and Pack Extension and Update. You click on Load Unpacked, and then you choose the folder that you created when building with Anti-Gravity, the folder that has all the files from the Anti-Gravity project. And then that actually now uploads the files to Chrome, and you're now able to test it. And you can test it like you would test any extension that's in production. So at that point, you can actually now pin the extension to your tab. And then the way the extension works is you click on it to open it up, you toggle, and then there's a manual version, and there's also the smart feature. And it works on any website. So if I go onto, let's say, the Blur website, I turn it on, click on Pick Element, I can blur full components, I can blur specific parts, I can blur any component on these pages. I can blur the whole page. And now I'm able to work through any sort of sensitive information that can pop up. To remove the blur, you just click on Clear All. To deactivate, you just click on Pick Element again. And so that's how this works. And so from there, once you've tested it, and I had to do a little bit of testing, you might deal with some bugs, you might deal with some errors. And if that happens, you just go back to Anti-Gravity, you reprompt, you work through the errors that are popping up, and you show the errors that are happening. And once you're happy with what you have, you can then go and start submitting it to the extension store. And that was all it is, right? In just honestly a couple of prompts, the extension was actually created. But in order to get it really ready for production, and if you want to have it something that's a paid product, then you're going to want to create the paywall, and you're also going to want to create a landing page like I have here. So for the paywall, you're going to go to a site called extensionpay.com. This allows you to put a paywall onto your Chrome extension so that people have to pay for it in order to get access to it. Google Chrome no longer allows actually in-product payments. Like you can't pay for the Google Chrome extension through Google. You have to do it through third parties now. And so what Extension Pay does is it'll actually connect your Stripe account to this software here, this Extension Pay software that you can integrate through code snippets into your project. So you see on the main page here, and you have to create a new extension. So you would click plus new extension, you would name it, and then you would choose the kind of payment plan you want for it. So you might have a lifetime plan, you might have a monthly plan every 2 months. In my case, I made mine lifetime. And then once you have that here, you're going to take the code, this code right here, that will connect your project to this Extension Pay. And you're literally just going to take it to the IDE, paste it in, and ask it to implement it. You're going to provide some context with that implementation. So there's this xpay.js right here, which is a GitHub repository that's being, like I see it, a way of just saving your project. So this Extension Pay project has a GitHub repo. So you can actually provide this as context with your prompt for the implementation into Blur app. So you'll see here, when someone clicks to purchase, this is what will come up, right? Or this kind of interface will come up. You know, it might be a payment plan. It might be like a lifetime fee, or whatever you decided to put in. And so that code right here is then what will allow the paywall to come onto the extension. So then what will happen is when you click on the extension, you will actually not be able to access this. Right here, it says lifetime access because I have access to it, but what it'll say is locked, and you'll have to click on pay for extension or pay for license, and then it'll take you to a payment page to be able to pay for it. And this is all again, we're still in that testing and development phase for it. So that is one aspect that you have to definitely deal with. And then once that's integrated, right, and again, you're just prompting to do it, the next step is going to be to create a landing page. So this landing page that I have here, I used replit.com to create it. I'm liking Replit a lot for landing pages and websites. And I also created a demo video using Tele TV and edited the video. And so part of my landing page, I had the demo video here to explain what exactly it does. And once you have the landing page completed and you have the extension pay completed as well, and this is if you're going to have your extension be a paid product, then you're going to go over to, you can type in chromewebstore.google.com. At the top right, you're going to click on the 3 dots, developer dashboard. It'll take you to this section here where you can now create the submission for the extension. So you're going to click on the top right, new item, and then it'll ask you to drag the zip file. So the folder that you have that you uploaded to the load unpacked, that same one you're going to load in here as a zip file. And then it'll create the start of the submission, and you can start to fill out each part of it. So the store listing, the description, the title, you can create screenshots for it. I used Google Studio to create the screenshots for it. I created a logo also using Google AI Studio. I mentioned I created a promo video with tele.tv. The homepage was with Replit, and then I had a support aspect to the web page along with a privacy policy. And then from there, make sure that your privacy policy is really strong. So I got rejected twice before getting approved the third time. The first time I got it rejected was because of the privacy policy. So it'll tell you why it got rejected. So if that happens, you can just incorporate that into the next iteration. But you can ask chat again, right, to draft these documents for you and to explain why they are necessary. So that policy is extremely important. And the second time I got rejected was because of the permissions. Like I had put that I needed more permissions than it was saying that I needed. And so I removed some of the access that I would have to users. And so then once you have filled in all the areas of submission and in distribution, you're going to put free of charge, because like I said, you can't actually charge through Google Chrome. You have to do it outside, which is why we applied the extension pay. So once you've filled out everything, you're going to click on submit for review, and then it's going to go ahead and review it. You'll get a notification in your email, and then if it gets rejected, you'll get an email about it being rejected, and then you can go in, make whatever modifications are necessary. It took twice in my case, and then the third time I got it approved. And then once approved, you'll be able to look it up on the Chrome Web Store, and then you can begin sharing it and marketing it out from there. So that's the process from idea to launch. And I believe that Chrome extensions are an underappreciated and a really overlooked way of building software with AI right now. And I think it's a great starting point for a lot of people because it's fewer files that you're actually dealing with typically. And it can also be a good entry point to using the more developer-like tools like Cursor or Anti-Gravity, if you're, let's say, graduating beyond a Lovable or a Bolt, for example. All right, so we've come to our final segment for this session. This is going to be on building out workflows, agentic workflows, and these agentic platforms that you've now been introduced to, OpenAI's Codex, Claude Code from Anthropic, and Cursor also enable you to do automation within them. And you have two different kinds of automation, really, when you think about workflow automation. You have more deterministic workflows, and then you have more judgment-based workflows. These deterministic workflows have existed for many years, and they allow you to build workflows that are very specific, precise, and repeatable in the same way every single time. The more judgment-based workflows, it's what AI now enables you to do, where the thinking that would ordinarily happen from a person or from a professional or from an expert, you can now outsource and create scripts and instructions for an agent to take over it. And then when you combine these deterministic and judgment-based workflows, it opens up a whole new lane of even just what work looks like and who does that work. In this, we're going to be building out an agentic workflow that is a combination of deterministic and judgment-based, and how it's something that I had been doing for several years in the more traditional kind of way, that now with the rise of these agentic platforms, of these coding agents, and the progress and evolution of them can be done much faster and even in a higher quality kind of way. So this is building agentic workflows by vibe coding. All right, so we're back in Cursor for the next step. Now in this part, we're going to be building a workflow, an agentic workflow. And you might be wondering, well, I thought this was a session on vibe coding. Well, vibe coding, as I see it, is vibe coding as we describe it. So vibe coding, as you know it, is really just how to use AI, how to use these AI platforms to build in general, right? So when vibe coding first came about, we primarily used it for building applications. We learned that vibe coding could be used to build web apps and desktop apps and mobile apps and all these things. And then as time has gone on, we now see that, first of all, it's, as you can now understand, significantly easier to build in general. You can literally prompt the code to build for you. And what we've also learned in this process, that so much is code, right? So the different kinds of tools, the different kinds of workflows that you use, when you actually break it down further, a lot of times you come down to a code level. So workflows, traditional workflow automation, we would use tools like make.com, Zapier, N8N, and build out workflows to automate systems. And this may be for intake, this may be for onboarding, this may be for the internal operations, for marketing. There are so many different kinds of workflows that you can build that make up an overall system for businesses. And of course, it depends on the kind of business that you're talking about. In my case, I've built out a lot of workflows for service businesses. And there's still a place for these more traditional workflow automation systems. But now with the arrival of vibe coding, first of all, you can actually build some of these systems using platforms like Claude Code or Cursor, as we have here, or combine the more traditional workflow automations with a more agentic element. And so in this chapter, we're going to be speaking on and building out a proposal creator, a proposal generator as an agentic workflow. And so I can actually show you an example of a proposal automation that I've built in the past as a deterministic workflow automation using the no-code tool make.com. And now, given what we have access to, you can build something like this, honestly, even more enhanced, simply using Cursor by prompting for the result. This workflow here from scratch took honestly hours to build out. There's a piece where you have to connect it to, PandaDoc and Typeform and all, like piecing all of this together. Traditionally, it takes a lot of time, but with the rise of these more agentic workflows, you can kind of get these kinds of workflows done faster. And you have to navigate around what is deterministic and what is more judgment based. Deterministic being what operates the same exact way every single time. Judgment based being, in our case, the AI using its own brain, its own sense of where to take things and how to best create the solution. And so with what we're doing, the interesting thing is that you can actually create deterministic scripts using these AI coding agents. So you can have workflows that are deterministic, but at the same time, you can also give AI the ability to think through things. And so this aspect of building workflows, this is basically the processing, the middle part, right? The actual work that's being done. This is now able to get done using these coding agents. So you have a trigger in the beginning, which sets it off, right? You then have the middle part, which is this I see right here, or as we're going to go into, we're going to be using Cursor for the example. And then you have the output from it, which is some sort of deliverable, right? It might be a list of on a spreadsheet. It might be, in our case, a proposal on a document. It could be a docx. It could be a PDF. It could be an HTML file. So that is just to provide some context. Now, as we go into this, as I mentioned, we're going to do a proposal generator. It's important to talk about something called skills, agent skills. So agent skills are repeatable instructions that are baked into a file. And these files are markdown files. And they're what provide the information needed in order to build anything that's repeatable. In our case, we're going to be dealing with a skill that builds proposals. And you can create these skills. And interestingly, these skills can be prompted for as well. You can actually vibe code these skills, or you can go and actually manually build them out. And so when you think about agent skills, this is one of the most essential aspects of agents, because it kind of shows that anything that is repeatable within a person's day-to-day work can be offloaded right to an agent, because the agent can also use its judgment. And so in the case of a proposal generator, what I've done is I've taken example proposals, I've taken transcripts that I would like to turn into proposals, and I've created an agent skill. So I'm going to pull up what this looks like. So you have this .md file here, skill MD file, and this shows what the proposal skill looks like for my company, Pentridge Media. So it has a name, it has a description, create a branded Pentridge Media client proposal and scope and timeline document. And then it shows what the skill does, provides instruction around it, how it should be designed. It explains that there are reference documents as a part of it. And so what you do is you're going to take that skill, right, and you're going to put it into your workspace. So I'm going to put it as a file in my workspace. And then what you want to have is you want to have an overall folder. So you can see I already kind of created a project for a proposal generator, but we're going to kind of redo it to show it to you from beginning to end. So I'm going to create a folder called proposal generator X. Let's just call it proposal generator X. We're going to put that skill file within the proposal generator X. And then the next file we're going to need, so we're going to want a folder for assets and then a folder for references. Now, the references and assets are all going to go into this proposal generator X folder, right? And within that assets folder, that's going to be things like your logo, anything that should go onto the document itself or what is being created. So you're going to see within this assets folder here, I have my logo that we're going to put in there. I have a template for a proposal that I want to be used. So this is done in HTML. And the way I got this HTML is from creating this skill. So what I did is I took an example proposal that I've done, and then I took the logo, and then I prompted a coding agent to create the skill for me. So I'm now basically deconstructing it and showing how this came about. This template came from a proposal that I had already created, or proposals that I had already created that I provided as context to create this skill. So we have this assets folder, and then we're going to have a references folder, which will be for the example proposals that I've already done, and then also for proposals that I've already done. And it's going to be for diagrams that I like to be used in line with these proposals. So to make it more enhanced, the proposal itself, you want to have diagrams. You want to show kind of in a more granular way what is possible. And so by showing a reference of how you want diagrams to be done, and a reference of diagrams you've used in a previous proposal. In this case, you can ensure that when we have our new proposals that are given, is going to be more to the kind of specifications that you want. And so the old way of automating proposals, basically what you would do is, okay, someone would put fill out information, or you would fill out information in a form, or that even may be a transcript rather than fill out information in a form. It may be a transcript, and then you would have a prompt step that says basically create these different fields for proposal, and then it'll map those fields onto a actual PandaDoc proposal. What we're doing here is like we're creating our own custom proposal, and then what we do next is we can now upload what we create. It'll be created in the form of HTML, and then we download it as a PDF, and then you can now upload it to somewhere like PandaDoc. Or if you have a MCP for PandaDoc, you can programmatically connect it to PandaDoc and just upload it through whichever coding platform you're using. And the reason why this is way more enhanced is because the AI is using its judgment to actually create the proposal rather than it being mapped. And so it ends up being a little bit more unique. And it ends up also just being to the kind of design standards that you would most want. And so we have all the files here, and this is what it looks like. And so the next step is we're going to just take an example transcript. So I'm literally, just to get an example, I'm going to say, help me create an example transcript based off of a sales call for a automation agency, learning the needs of a home services VAC business that I can dump into a chat to have an AI create a proposal for me. So let's just get it to create a transcript for us. And then we're going to use this as the example that we then use to turn into the proposal. While that's happening, I'm going to say, can you help me? We got this. Can you help me? Can you help me save this as an agent skill? So you see here, I've saved this as a skill, right? And so what that means now is when I want to call on this and create proposals, all I have to do is say, use the call to proposal X, use the proposal generator X skill to draft a proposal based off of the following, transcript, for example. And so we have this transcript here. We can show it in folder. And then we're gonna pop this into the chat right here, and then click enter. So now it's going to create the proposal, and it'll be designed and formatted and look exactly the way that we want it to. And then from there, you can make changes, you can make adjustments, you can continue to edit and modify it. And that's the beauty of using these kinds of tools. So now it's saying, before I generate the HTML, a few things to confirm. Investment. So now it's asking you, additional questions. The investment, do you want to, let's go with the negotiated 4,000, 5-week timeline, include a project overview with inline SVG, skip the AI platform, rec, keep as one line, phase 1.5, furrow. And then it'll go ahead and I'll take that. So it's drafted the text, the copy, and will now go and translate that to HTML. And in our case, we've decided to make the output in HTML that we can then put onto a web and then download it as PDF. But you can create these skills however you decide to. And this is a new kind of way of working, right, and building. But you can vibe code these things. And so this part is to show that vibe coding goes beyond building software in the traditional sense. This is vibe coding as a way of performing knowledge work, right? Doing your actual day-to-day work and being able to build workflows that may have been done using no-code tools previously, that now having agent skills as an option you can do in this kind of way. So we have here the HTML. If we take it and pop it into the browser, gotta remove the quotations. So you see the proposal came up like this, and we have it here. I believe we should kind of look at it like this. This is how it will be downloaded. And so you can see the design. So it's in the design of my company, which is purple, black and white, and has a problem, has a solution. This is based off of the transcript and the deliverables and everything that you would expect to see. We have the diagram, which the agent did this, right? Created a diagram based off of the conversation. So you're able to create these very tasteful proposals. And then when you're ready to download it, you save it as a PDF, and then you see it saves it in the nice kind of format. It's formatted well for you here, and then you go ahead, you just save that, and then now you have it ready to pop into a Panda doc or another or place where you can actually get it signed, and wherever you look at send the contract to be signed, and then begin the engagement. And so that is how you build out an agentic workflow, right? And this is something to where if you wanted to automate the whole process, right? Let's say you wanted it to be to where after a call is finished, the transcript is automatically turned into the proposal generator. Each of the agentic platforms has a way of creating automation. So Cursor has one, for example. You can go into the agents window at the top right, and where it says automations, you can click on automations and click a new automation, and then you can create a trigger, right? So that trigger would be, okay, maybe you're scheduling for it to happen every hour, and maybe every hour the instructions are when a new transcript pops up in Google Drive folder called sales calls, turn that new transcript to a proposal using the proposal generator Xcode, right? And then you can tie in different MCP servers. These are different connectors, right? So you can add these tools. You have the MCP servers right here, new connection. You can add whichever MCP servers you require. If they're not here, then you can add a custom server to here as well. You can configure. Now there's, as you imagine, a process to that, right? Codex has significantly more plugins than pretty much, I think, all the agentic platforms. So everything that you need pretty much that you'll come across, you can find in Codex. All the Google Drive platform. So Google Sheets, Google Docs, PDFs, like everything, Canva, everything. So when it comes to plugins and you're creating automations, Codex is probably going to be the best platform to create those more end-to-end automations in. Cursor is decent, still a little bit technical for it, but the concepts are the same. And so that is workflows, and this is also the direction that the world is going in, right? Because now with it being easier to build software, it's now about, okay, what is software being used for? And so you have apps, but apps are now turning into what is the specific use for it, right? So rather than it being, okay, a software that's being used for everything or being used for like manage the whole part of your business, now it's becoming like, okay, this is the specific role that's going to play in like a grander system. And here's the role that this app is going to play in an agentic system, right? And or here's the proposal generator app that you're going to use that you can spin up relatively quickly now. So you built this within Cursor because you're now learning how to use a Cursor, right, or a Codex or a Claude Code, but you could, for example, turn this into an app and say, turn this proposal generator into or proposal generator that using the proposal generator skill, turn it into the form of a web app and you could deliver that web app and have people use that web app rather than having to go through Cursor. Now, the beauty of Cursor is, again, you can make edits, you can update very easily, and the harness around this it's agentic, right? So you're able to use that agent. Now, if you're going to do it in the form of an app, you're going to want to make that app an agentic app then, right? Which if you want some videos on building agent apps, there's something called the SDK. You have the Claude SDK software development kit or agent development kit, and also the OpenAI agent development kit, which you can actually build something like a Cursor or a Claude Code into your own kind of application. But the fact that these platforms exist, well, you can also just learn these platforms. And that's why we're going into what's called an API MCP first world, where what matters is whatever applications you are building or anyone is building, is very and vitally important that there is an API or MCP layer where you can connect and drop in and pull the data from wherever the software is, wherever the data is coming from, into or connected to these agentic platforms so that you can execute with these platforms. So that is workflow. We've gone through how to build a web app. We use Codex to build a web app. We've gone through how to build a desktop app, which we use Claude Code for. We've gone through how to build a mobile app, which we one-shotted with Cursor. And now we've gone through how to build an agentic workflow. This is vibe coding. Vibe coding is the best way to learn AI in general. And if you have an understanding of these platforms, which I hope you have a better sense of it now, and understand that you're virtually limited by just your imagination at this point, then you can build apps, you can build tools, you can build workflows, you can do work now, different kinds of knowledge work, and the sky is literally the limit. And if you think about the discipline or the domain that you're in or a part of, and you think about how AI can intersect with it, it likely involves vibe coding in some sort of way. So I hope that this has been informative, that this has been helpful. Thank you for staying and sticking with me to this point. For those who watched the full way through, and I wish you luck on your vibe coding journey.